Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Game 2 of DGT versus FSPC in our Rampage Premade semifinals. I'm Justice.
And I'm Gilferino, subbing in for the guy who was around last game. However, though, Vladimir Chen and Senna, Swain, a lot of S is being taken off the board here and a single V. We're flying through these bans here, Justice.
We sure are. We're seeing the same bans from FSPC as last game, with the exception of their third ban being the Hecarim, as opposed to their first pick last game being the Hecarim. And a lot of the same bans from DGT as well. I still don't understand that Swain ban. I think it's a target ban or something. I don't think Swain's particularly popular in the meta right now. But speaking of the meta, we are seeing the first pick Caitlyn and Ashe again, DGT picking Ashe again, and FSPC picking Caitlyn again. The two undisputed best ADCs in the meta right now, and once again, the two ADCs we'll be seeing in our game.
Yep, unsurprisingly. However, though, if FSPC wanted to, they could have saved that Caitlyn pick for maybe R3 here and grabbed two other power picks if they wanted to. However, though, the Caitlyn Lux lane is going to be fairly deadly in that bot lane since it just has that extreme range and extreme poke he can lay down from a distance. I'm, of course, assuming this is that Lux support, which has been popping up a little bit recently. It's a little bit more of a solo queue pick over a competitive 5 versus 5 pick. However, though, when paired with the right AD carry, can do a lot of damage.
I agree with that assessment of the Lux pick. Maybe the Caitlyn was picked early because they wanted some counter picks for their later picks, but yeah, they could have held off probably. We're going to see the Graves from DGT again. The same thing that Drizzy was playing last game. Absolutely dominated the game on that Graves. So considering we're seeing the Ashe and the Graves again, they might be going for the same style of pick with their pick comp, the safe bot lane and the strong 3v3 top mid and jungle, to where Graves just gets to run over the entire game. The Maokai again, they are drafting the same as they did last time.
Yeah, because it was a Malphite support last time around. However, though, you do still always have to respect the potential of that top lane Malphite coming out here. So FSPC, they are going to be having a little bit of trouble guessing where this Maokai is going 100%. I mean, they definitely have a fairly good clue, especially based off of last game, but you can never be 100% certain when there is a flex pick on the table.
Exactly, and the Lux is also a flex pick. Speaking of flex picks, we see the Zoe coming through, most likely a target ban, and we see Zac picked up in the jungle for FSPC, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because while I do think that Zac obviously has great ganking and he's a great tank in the team fights later on, I feel like he's just as susceptible, if not more so, than Hecarim was to just getting run down in the early game by Graves. So that's a little bit of a problem, but we'll see if when they pick mid-top, or if Lux is their mid, support and top, if they have a way to counter that deficit they had in the 3v3 last game and not just get kind of mopped by Graves.
For sure, as a lot of powerful solo laners being taken off the board here. Not too surprising, considering what we're most likely looking at is both teams having the jungler, AD carry, and supports locked in, so why not target those solo lanes? Either way, though, the Mordekaiser being taken off the board is interesting, because we did see that last game from the side of the full-service Plumbing Co., and if I remember correctly, it had a little bit of a rough time in that top lane.
Yeah, the Mordekaiser was there to completely basically dismantle the top laner of FSPC. The Mordekaiser into the Malphite lane is really rough for the Malphite. So, though they do have the Renekton picked up, I think maybe the Mordekaiser ban might just be to prevent DGT from effectively splitting them up the way they did last game. I think FSPC might be looking for that grouped up team fight style again, and they don't want people like Mordekaiser being able to separate them by force. But we'll see what DGT picks in the top lane here as a response to that Renekton.
Yeah, and alright, we got the insta-lock Gnar coming out, and Gnar, while definitely kind of susceptible to Renekton, if Renekton is able to slice it and dice on top of that tiny little prehistoric Yordle, the Gnar, of course, is notorious for how much of a royal pain in the butt he is for melee top laners, just thanks to his range form being able to proc the hyper. He gets that percentage max health magic damage when you want to be itemizing armor against him, and then of course it gives him all that move speed, so he's able to run away from you after he procs that and can just make life so annoying for these melee top players. Of course, though, the Renekton bar, it is a thing for a reason, so we could be seeing a lot of back and forth in this top lane potentially.
I think it'll be interesting to look at, when we see the Corki is the final pick for FSPC, most likely is their mid laner. I think it's interesting to look at the 3v3 for this game because the last game kind of devolved into a 3v3 as well. And while I think FSPC has a better aggressive bot lane this time, and unlike last game, they might be able to actually bully out that Ashe Maokai, I'm still going to be interested to see how Graves, Orianna, and Gnar can square up to Zac, Renekton, and Corki. I think in the early game, DGT definitely has the advantage, which is curious because that's exactly how FSPC lost last time. So they picked a scaling comp and they got smashed in the 3v3 in the early game. But we'll see if they have a better plan for avoiding such an outcome this time around with the Zac, Renekton, and Corki as their top lane, or top side.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, FSPC, they definitely do have some scaling once again this game because Corki and Caitlyn are definitely fairly well-scaling picks, but they do have some nice early game insurance in the form that Renekton. The Lux also, too, to a degree. Once you start seeing the resist being itemized, and then support Lux doesn't really do nearly as much damage. And then Zac, he is in a bit of a weird space for a tank, where he doesn't have a lot of the natural damage reduction or defensive steroids other tanks do. He has to rely on his passive, which can give him so much sustain, but you do have to pick up those blobs, so I'm curious to see how that works out this game for the Plumber Co.
I am as well, and I'd like to point out the absolute team fight potential from DGT this time around. With the Crystal Arrow, the Maokai ultimate, the Gnar ultimate, and the Orianna Shockwave, they have just so much crowd control that they could use and just hit on a team. Because if you say Shockwave and into a Gnar ult on 5 people, that is an instant team fight win, especially if you have something like the collateral damage there to just hit everyone for quite a lot of just massive bursts. So DGT has a better 5v5 than they do this time, but I'm still curious to see how they'll do in the skirmishes and the more isolated encounters.
Yeah, because that is one hell of a wombo combo. Any composition with that Orianna is very well set up for any sort of wombo combo. You just have a ball, and you have a ball delivery. Next thing you know, you have a one-team fight. However, though, I mean, DGT, they do, of course, have that scaling. The Orianna, the Graves, the Ashe, all very fine carries come the later stages of the game, and it's going to mean that DGT will be packing quite a bit of punch here.
Yeah, and like I said last game, I'm curious to see what keystones we'll be seeing here. Most likely Phase Rush from the Graves after Shock from the Maokai, at least the tempo from the Ashe. Gnar might take the Fleet Footwork. I know there's a few different keystones, the Grass, the Fleet Footwork, some people even going PTA, or Hail of Blades, I think some people take as well, that you can take on the Gnar. I think with Renekton having the potential to dash twice and the movement speed granted to him by a Phage, if he picks up a Phage early, which I expect him to, I feel like Gnar might want Fleet Footwork for better kiting, but we'll see what he goes with, and we'll see how well it does. And I'm also curious to see if this is going to be a poke Lux with the Comet, or if this is going to be more of a supportive Lux taking Guardian. I've been seeing Guardian a lot in solo queue recently, but I don't know what FSPC wants out of this pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Comet, because I believe most of the support Luxes that I've been seeing in the past few patches have been going for the Comet. It's much more of an all-in-the-lane build, where you just want to absolutely destroy the enemy in lane, poke them out, and get them the hell out. Guardian, of course, is nice, but it has been nerfed a couple of patches in a row for those ranged magic damage supports who were kind of abusing it, since they were getting fairly decent scaling out of it, fairly decently safe usage out of it, and it was a little bit of a pain to get through them, giving them all that extra tankiness. However, though, definitely still a very viable rune, like you mentioned, and it is a potential here. But I think when you have the Caitlyn here with the Lux, you're going against the Ashe Maokai, I feel like then you kind of really want to go for the Comet, especially for your pre-6 laning phase, because you really, really want to up the amp in that lane. You want to try and get some tower plates, maybe some kills. A CS lead would be pretty nice too, and I mean, Comet, it just helps you go that little extra step to help you get down that little bit of extra damage.
Yeah, I think with what they've picked and just where the Lux is on their comp, I believe that the Comet would be better for them there as well. And I'd like to point out that last game, DGT picking up a win against Full Service Plumbing Co. It is their first time beating Full Service Plumbing Co. As when these two teams squared off against each other in Week 4, it was actually a 2-0 in FSPC's favor. But it looks like DGT has had quite the turnaround since playoffs started. They are 5th seed, and they're now a game up on 3rd seed. So it's quite the improvement for them based on what it looked like coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of Risen playoffs for you. There's a very notorious Risen playoffs curse where the higher your seed is going into the playoffs, the worst luck you will encounter. Like, last year when I was casting the Rampage Open playoffs, I believe it was, Friday nights, it was basically all of the first seeds immediately lost. And it was the most tragic thing ever, but hey, I'm wondering if we're gonna see that Risen flavor here tonight, because the scriptwriters, they do be cooking up a few spicy dishes.
Honestly, that's how actual Worlds has felt like in last year and the year before, with like LPL third seed picking up World Championship. Like, okay, I guess that's going to happen. But this year Worlds has been going a little more, I don't know. Normally, the top heavy teams, the favorites, are still in. But so yeah, we'll see what happens in the Risen playoffs this year. Let's see if the fifth seed can take out the third seed and pull a 2-game lead. I think it honestly just comes down to skill difference in this one. I think I see the strengths of both compositions. I think even in like similar situations, like in 5v5s, I think they both have a lot of very strong tools. So I feel like which team has a lead going into a fight, and just the pure execution of the players and the macro of the teams is really going to be the biggest deciding factor here, more than drafts or anything. So I guess we'll have to just see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and that's something we'll definitely have to see once we get into game, but don't go anywhere, our lovely viewers. We'll be back in just a minute or two here as we load into the game.
Welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of DGT versus FSPC in the Rampage Premade semifinals.
That is true. This is indeed Game 2 of the Rampage Rampage Premade semifinals. It's so easy to get tongue twisted because, yeah, this is the Rampage Open. All right, this is the Dominate Premade. Okay. By the way, there's also Dominate Open and Rampage Premade. Oh.
I swear, every time I try to say FSPC, I just get the letters like mixed up and everything. So yeah, I'm getting tongue-tied myself here. But all right, so looking at the keystones coming in here, we do see the Conqueror coming up for the Renekton, Grasp coming out for the Gnar. I was most curious about his keystone choice because he's really one of the only champions here with a few options. We see Footwork from the Caitlyn again, and as we predicted, Comet coming out of the Lux. So,
yeah, nothing really too surprising across the board. Although Clogged Toilet going Fleet on the Corki, mildly interesting. We haven't been seeing as many. Yeah, we haven't been seeing as many Corkis go with a fleet of footwork recently. There has been an uptick in lethal tempo. There was even that period where we were seeing the Electric-y Corki, although that has fallen a bit out of favor for the most part. But the fleet is still definitely a fairly decent option, if not a classic option, to say the least.
I think the fleet is still the best keystone on him. I think it works the best for him as a champion. I feel like as Corki, once you're itemized enough, you don't need a keystone to deal any damage like Electrocute. So I feel like his poke playstyle doesn't play super well with lethal tempo a lot of the time. So I feel like the fleet is just the safest way to make sure you get through lane phase and get to your items, and then you can deal enough damage by yourself. But that's just my take on playing Corki.
Yeah, I've just been mostly against Fleet of Footwork on ranged champions ever since the 8.11 nerfs from so long ago, because it just doesn't really feel like a rune anymore. At least for me, because I remember the glory days of when it felt half decent. Either way, though, it is, of course, always nice having that MS, and of course, we'll have to see how it does pan out in this game, because we're only 2.5 minutes in, and I don't think Fleet of Footwork is going to be making or breaking the game at this point.
You're entirely right there, and I would like to point out a little nice interaction with Fleet Footwork. When you have the Triforce, the movement speed you get from autoing with the Phage passive, as well as the movement speed from Fleet, it can give you some nice kiting potential. So that's another little helpful thing about it. But we do see Gnar being a royal pain in the butt, like you said, just getting those grass procs for those huge autos when he just pokes out the Renekton. So Gnar doing Gnar things.
Of course, especially at this point, it's going to be annoying because the Renekton here for Exalted Pig hasn't leveled up that Ruthless Predator stun quite yet, only sitting on the Cold and Meek and the Slice and Dice, which means he doesn't have that stun when he goes in and makes it very easy for the Gnar to hop on out of there. So maybe now that Exalted Pig is level 3, we might see something happen once this wave is cleared and the 2 next waves meet somewhere else in the lane. It is definitely impossible, but hey, that is something that will come up here in about 15 to 30 seconds if it does happen.
I don't think we'll see anything from him, mostly because the Gnar with the grass.
A little dizzy.
Renekton, okay, Gnar hops away from Renekton, as you'd expect him to do, though Dizzy coming into mid, not getting much, not getting the flash or anything out of the Corki. Zach is just casually walking through his jungle. Looks like he's going to his Krugs next. He is close if Dizzy and Gnar try to do anything to the top lane, but I don't think tower diving of Renekton at level 4 is really on most people's agenda anyways, so I don't think... Oh, we're just going to see Graves taking away the Raptors here and not much else. We're seeing the priority coming through from Caitlyn and Lux in the bot lane. As we expected, they are doing their best to poke out the Ashe Maokai, and Ashe is technically sitting at a CS deficit, but that entire wave is still alive, so we'll probably see Ashe even things up. It's a good route from the Lux, but we see the counter engage from the Maokai, knocking Caitlyn back, but nope, Ashe is out of mana. Not a good time for them to take a fight there.
There's the stun.
We get the flash from the Gnar, though he does get hit by the Zac Q, pulled back in, and it looks like he's getting Wombo comboed.
Here's Graves.
Can he get the Zac? Nope, Renekton flashes forward, picks up the first blood. Graves out of mana, unfortunately. Nope, that's a double for Renekton. He's a monster now. That's a problem.
That is absolutely massive for this top lane. This Renekton not only getting the first kill, but also getting a second one on top of that. Exalted Pig currently has 1,850 gold in his pocket here, so this is going to be one hell of a back when you look at the competition, because Savar only able to pick up a longsword, a ruby crystal, not even any potions on this Gnar, whereas Exalted Pig very easily gonna have a Tiamat and some more to spare on this back. I'm curious to see what he decides to purchase, because 40 CS and 2 kills worth of gold, you can get a lot with that money.
You definitely can, especially he has the entire Phage, the boots. Yep, that is... Okay, see now, with the Phage and the boots, all the move speed that provides allows him to just not get kited by Gnar as badly as he would have. So we're going to see him be able to far more consistently get himself just in range of the Gnar and be able to trade into him. We are seeing the call picked up by the Corki. Looks like he's planning for a very passive mid lane. And we are seeing a CS lead established by the Caitlyn and bot. So it looks like FSPC is getting himself some nice early leads across the board. Nothing definitive yet. And even though he died and Zach got the assist, the 10 CS difference, 12 now, between Zach and Graves, or just 11, my bad, does mean that Graves is still actually ahead of the Zach in gold.
Yeah, and that is kind of expected because Graves is a very power farming as jungler, as little Dizzy is around in his bot lane, but they did also spot a clogged toilet clearing out this control ward in that dragon pit. They even have Douche in the jungle as the sec, very nearby too, although they don't exactly know he's there, so DGT wisely not opting in for that fight, just trying to get a little bit more control.
Graves is walking up to the scuttle here, and Zach seems to be backing off, which is curious because Zach Graves' bot lane isn't there, and Graves' mid laner wasn't there. So Graves just walked into what should have been an enemy-controlled river and took the scuttle away. So curious play from FSPC there, conceding that scuttle, but I guess Corki didn't want to give up the wave to run down.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting, but it's not going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things, I think. It might be a little bit more of a worrying sign than anything else for what might potentially happen later on in this game, and maybe next game too if we do happen to hit that game number 3. But it's only really going to matter in the context of these next couple of minutes for any potential roams to this bot lane once the clogged toilet gets that package. And then, of course, if there are any early attempts on this dragon from Squadouche, then it'll matter. But that's kind of me over-analyzing taking a single crap, so what else is new?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything there. We do see Renekton dashing in. Gnar is still able to get himself out. You know, despite the fact he is at a deficit, Gnar is still quite a safe, slippery champion, still kind of a pain to get himself onto. And while Renekton definitely has a lot more power in this lane after that lead he got now, Gnar is still annoying to deal with even when you're ahead of him. We do see Corki picking up the Tear and it's another Sapphire Crystal. Looks like he's going for Tear and then maybe Sheen. I'm not sure what order he's going to be finishing those items in, but we do see the Zac coming in. Oh, that's so much CC and so much damage. That poor Gnar. He was CC'd for about 3 seconds, and that was all they needed to kill him from almost full health. That's brutal.
Yeah, not really too surprising there, as now all 3 kills in this game on this Renekton, and he can really snowball really strongly with this lead. Of course, though, Renekton known for tapering off as the game goes later on. But for now, he's definitely going to be gig strong, and that's going to be quite a big point whenever these teams, if they do decide to have a big fight over this dragon. Pick does have the teleport. He nearly has a full item complete. Might be able to finish the cleaver on this back. Is able to finish that cleaver, so that is going to be one deadly crocodile who's coming in when everybody else is sitting on more or less just components or like half or a little over half an item. You got this super fed early game focused top laner coming in with a just full on black cleaver.
Exactly, and both mid lane TPs are down, but I imagine if a fight were to happen to Dragon, the mid laners wouldn't need to teleport in, they could just walk down. So we might be seeing a 5v5 since both the teleports and top are up, but I think FSPC is in a better position to win that 5v5 right now. With how quickly he killed Gnar, and the fact that Gnar has 1300 health, probably did about 1,000 damage in only a few seconds, and that's really scary to think about, because he didn't even have a full black cleaver at the time. Now he does. So if he is able to get onto the Orianna, or get onto the Ashe, or even just get onto the Gnar, or Graves, he can just blow them up so quickly. But yeah, it looks like DGT knows that, and they're not going to waste any lives contesting a dragon they can't get. Graves is just going to farm it up, Bot's going to farm it up. So everyone's just trying to bide their time and wait for a better fight.
Yeah, and they obviously came here on the side of don't go top, because never mind that.
Oh, Orianna. Oh, will she get out with the phase rush? Oh, the smite. That's sad. Interesting that Corki used the package for a kill in his own lane. I was going to say a solo kill, but Zach did participate. But interesting that Corki used the package for and it looks like Caitlyn's going to be dead as the counter kill, but the TP's coming in. Will Renekton be able to clean up DGT? Nar's teleporting down as well. Looks like nothing's going to be happening here. Ashe's flash is burnt, but Maokai used flash as well in that engagement. Yeah, it looks like Orianna being traded in the mid lane for Caitlyn in the bot lane. Both teleports come through, but nothing really comes of it. Actually, something will come of it. DGT is going to be pushing up the bot lane a little bit. Plates are still up, so they still have the potential to get plate gold. And I would like to point out that not only does this rob Gnar and Renekton of their teleports, they both teleported to that bot lane fight. If they had both stayed top lane, I think Renekton might have been able to get a little more plate.
Yeah, but the call was made to teleport, as is kind of expected, and in the end, that is a favorable trade for Don't Go Top, because they're able to get that kill for free, especially when it's the Ashe versus Caitlyn. This Ashe here for Unknown, gonna be really appreciating that, since was having a little bit of trouble early on in that laning phase, just falling a little bit behind, but now that this Caitlyn is down that heal, didn't take the cleanse this game, which is a little bit surprising to me, especially into the Ashe matchup. However, though, you can just look to more or less repeat that play over and over again now, because it's very easy to do the Enchanted Crystal Arrow into the Nature's Grasp from the Maokai, or the Twisted Advance, or any combo of those abilities in any real order, and just keep Hayemi or Best Plunger locked up, rooted up for just seconds on end, and very easily kill them.
I'd like to point out that Corki using that package in the mid lane did give him a small advantage, but mid lane's still uneventful. These are both kind of long-range champions who don't really have a lot of burst damage at the moment, and I feel like Corki might have wanted to save that for a roam instead of using it just for a kill on the Orianna, but he did use it for a kill, and he got the kill he was The smite comes through, Ashe is slowed, burns the heal. She is hit by the Lux ult, but the Maokai ultimate comes through, roots up all three of them, and the bot lane will be able to successfully disengage.
And that is kind of unfortunate to be having to use your heal to get out of here, because, I mean, it's 12:50 into the game. We're going to be having another Dragon in 2 minutes. Plays are still up on the board, and that could be a very precarious situation.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think the heal was necessarily needed, with the fact that Zac didn't have another target to hit with that Q auto, and that is actually a weakness of Zac. If you catch someone out in the jungle like that, you don't have much CC beyond your E and maybe your R. You can't use that Q if it's just one person you're on. But looks like Renekton will be zoned away from the Herald by the Gnar, Graves, and Orianna here, and it looks like that is a Herald picked up for DGT. Where will they put it, I wonder?
Oh, there's a slingshot.
Doesn't connect, gets damaged out. Looks like Zac's going to get out for now, but I think he's too low to really commit to a dive at the moment, unless he wants to use his passive for that. The passive is, in fact, up for the Zac, meaning should he go down, Cell Division will save him. Will a little Rootlet be able to cancel his recall? It will. Oh, that Zac is very low, but Corki's there as well, meaning they can't really... Zac looks like he's going back in again. Or he doesn't... That is the snare and the Lux ult hitting the Ashe kind of ended that fight for them. We just see the Gnar coming in. It's all by himself now. Will he be able to pick it? Or not the Gnar, that's the Orianna teleport, my bad. Will the Orianna be able to pick it even up? Oh! No!
Oh,
you
that is
see it.
tragic. As 3 kills are picked up here in the bot lane for nothing in return. Plumbers just
actually
so dominant.
Orianna's teleport is now gone as well, which is really unfortunate. Corki just walked down. He didn't have to burn TP. So Corki will soon have his package, he will have his teleport, and Orianna will have just no way to match that at all. So that is really tragic. Burning the shockwave as well, not getting anything off it, getting first tower. That is quite the gain for full service plumbing co, though.
Yeah, since now we have some kills going to other non-Crocodilian members, we got 2 kills on this Corki, which is going to be very nice to have. It's going to let him hit that 2 power spike much sooner with that stacked Manamune and the Triforce, of course. 2 kills going on to Zac. Not the most optimal, technically. You wish those would have been going to your Caitlyn, who would really appreciate some kills, but never mind that. We have a dragon fight in the making here, it looks like. Justice says, already down to 1,000-ish health. Let's see if there's a contest. No.
A little bit of poke exchange, but no real commits. Looks like we're going to be having a Cloud Soul this game as the first 2 dragons go over to FSPC. And I would like to point out that Caitlyn, which was ahead of Ashe and then was behind Ashe, now is ahead of Ashe again with the full Infinity Edge compared to the Ashe just having to be absorb the Agility Cloak and the Berserkers. So, Caitlyn does have a full item completed for herself. Corki picking up an early Scryers, which is a little interesting, but pretty normal for Corki players. I see that a lot on that champion. Haven't seen any backs from the Renekton since he finished his cleaver. I wonder what he's going to get now. Full Tabi, and what's his next item? Looks like he's waiting for gold. Oh, Jarm's Fist. Okay. Going into Sterix, maybe? Frozen Mallet, something of that nature.
Probably the Sterix here, since the only other real item that Renekton would be building out of that Yarm's Fist would usually be Titanic Hydra as Squidouche. He is in this top lane, Wilderness, and Sevar, though, going to be warding off the green goo that is Squidouche, and nothing too much going to be happening, but it did look like something exciting might have happened.
The slingshot unfortunately missed, and there wasn't really much to go on for FSPC after that one. Corki's stacking up on that Monamune, getting towards that Triforce. Like you said, the 2-item power spike on Corki is dangerous. Once he has those 2 full items, he's already hitting hard, but once he gets those 2 full items, he will start to burn anyone he touches, and he's really just progressing towards his scary late game, as the game goes on. And with the strong front line that FSPC has in their Fed Renekton and the Zac who has a lead, and
that is unfortunate.
It must have been timing out. I don't see why else he'd do that.
Yeah. Sucks too, because they got that for free in the top side Exalted Pick. You have to be a little bit careful here as the Cyberflux. They are going to be adding up on this Crocodile. The Tapa is really great as a measure against Gnar's damage. However, though, since this is primarily health focused coming out from Exalted Pick, that's what Gnar loves, as there's the slingshot, there's the bounce.
And the Orianna doesn't hit the Q, goes for the R, not much comes of it. Orianna burns the flash and she's out for now. Maokai ultimate comes through, rooting everyone up, but Graves can't really commit to this because of how behind DGT is, and the wave's cleared out, so the turret isn't going to fall yet. Gnar is pushing in the top lane, but he has to be very careful. If he makes one misplay and Renekton gets the stun off, it might be a dead primitive Yordle, so we're just going to... Oh, the collateral damage used to clear the wave as DGT tries desperately to hold on to this mid-tier 1 to avoid FSPC just cracking the map open. Because I'd say, with the current game state, if FSPC is to secure that mid-turret, they can easily set up vision for the next drag in 2 minutes, and it should be theirs. Oh, we see the flash coming through. Oh no! The shockwave makes the arrow miss! Oh, you hate to see it!
That wasn't very Pickle Rick of you, sadly, as a little dizzy. You gotta be careful here. There's the bind, there's the trap. Never mind, gonna flash the trap. We saw the slingshot being charged on up, but
there's no convenient shockwave to get dizzy out of that CC.
Yep, as very unfortunate circumstances here. But ultimately, technically, nothing really is gonna be coming of it, as no one dies, there's no objectives to take, and it's just going to be a silly little display for our beautiful viewers.
Those summoner spells that got burnt, the Corki Flash, the Graves Flash, and the Maokai Flash, will still be down when the dragon spawns, and in 10 seconds there will be a Herald, but I doubt they're going to be rushing for it. But more importantly, when this dragon spawns, those summoner spells, those 3 flashes, will still be down. So that is still advantage for FSPC off of those plays. So that's just something to note.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we will be keeping our eyes on. Speaking of eyes, well, Ashe gonna probably be losing them if he dies here.
Exactly. Yep, dove by the Zac, takes no damage from turret. Ashe doesn't have the Bork first item, as some Ashes would go, so she just doesn't do any damage to him. So, little unfortunate to see, but Ashe just doesn't really do anything. Though speaking of tank shredding items like Bork, it looks like Maokai is itemizing towards the Liandry's Torment, which is interesting, but I understand it with the Zac, with the Renekton. I see what he's thinking.
For sure, and it's gonna be something that can potentially pay off very hard, as here's a gank.
Caitlyn flash down, teleport coming in from the Renekton behind the Orianna. Will she get caught? Oh, she definitely will. Shockwave comes through, hits its target this time. He doesn't have the damage to kill her under her turret.
There's the arrow.
Goes wide, unfortunately. Slingshot comes through, doesn't connect, but the Q does, pulling the Graves in. Is he dead? He sure is, but he did get the collateral damage. Gnar's ult doesn't stun anyone.
Miami?
Too, but... Oh. Meanwhile, we have a completely different fight happening in bot lane as Corki gets jumped on by the Maokai and Ashe. There's a lot going on in this game. Ashe and Maokai just run down the Corki. See, Ashe doesn't do any damage to Zac. Unfortunately for Corki, he's not Zac. Ashe definitely does enough damage to him, and with the Maokai CC there to just hold him still, Ashe is able to just burn through the Yordle and his Rafflecopter, but we see the Corki hitting the 2-item power spike. Finished Cull as well. I wonder if he's going to sell that.
Yeah, I wonder when too, because especially once he starts working on the 3rd item here, that is going to be something you want to sell. You want to keep space for your control words. Of course, so if you want to, you can be selling the Corrupting Potion instead. Either or, just make sure you have some room for control words, because they are kind of a big deal. But speaking of big deals, after that very dominant fight coming out from the Plumbing crew, we saw them grab that Soul Point, Air Dragon it. That's gonna be kind of scary if they do manage to pick up that Cloud Soul in another couple of minutes here.
The last thing the squishies on DGT want to deal with is Renekton being faster. That is not... Oh, that was strange. I couldn't see what Corki was auto-attacking, so it looked like he was hitting that pink ward. Anyways, we do see 2 full items coming through for the Caitlyn. We are approaching the full loot ends for the Lux, and we do see the Sterix being completed for Renekton.
Oh, there's a package.
Oh. Yeah, and Nars getting dove under the turret. Oh, Corki's dead! Oh, the entire rest of I was wondering why Renekton and Zac weren't committing, and then I saw the entire rest of DGT. Yeah, there's just... They committed, they didn't have the info on where everyone was, so they just had to pull out. Corki gets left for dead, gets hit by that Gnar ultimate. Unfortunate for him, but oh well, it's only a single pick. Unfortunate that the package hasn't really led to much this game, but it could be a lot worse. The package isn't super important. Corki really does, with or without the package, serve as a great teamfight damage source. He's basically a second carry behind the Caitlyn. I'd argue in the late game, if he's allowed to free hit, he can rival Caitlyn in damage or even out damage her, since he's kind of ahead of her right now. So this Corki is getting quite scary with his item state.
I'm sorry, I'm just still trying to get over that package, Toilet, please, just do that half a second to a second earlier and don't fly into range of the Mega Gnar ulti, please.
I'm still trying to get over the shockwaves from earlier, honestly, so we're both still feeling it. But alright, we do see the Archangels coming through from the Orianna, and the needlessly large rod coming through after that. Does not have his ultimate. He does. Very low cooldown on that ability. Can he get the double ult here? When he's finally not CC'd, he does. 2 stuns coming through. Crystal Arrow goes wide because of the Gnar ult. Ashe is being trolled. That is the second time in a row where an arrow has been dodged by her own team, moving them out of the way.
You win some, you lose some, unless you're, of course, unknown on this Ashe and you're pressing the ulti button as Slingshot being charged up. Gonna actually go past unknown. He does have the heal here. That was very risky. Toilet is going to meet Dizzy here. Has a Croc to back up. Oh. Just the insta flash on out from that Grace. Even committing the end of the line.
Wait. Isn't end of the line his Q?
Yeah, collateral damage. Okay. I'm getting mixed up.
I kind of got confused for a second because I wasn't 100% sure that was his ultimate, so just making sure I wasn't wrong. But okay, so we see some vision being cleared out from DGT. Which is probably a good idea. Lux resetting, probably going to finish that loot ends now. At least I assume so.
It will definitely be a very nice spike, assuming that the loot ends will be completed on this back. I
find it interesting that Lux went for the Frostfang instead of the Bulwark, as most supports are wont to do at the moment. And as well, even though Frostfang generates gold faster, Maokai's had his support item finished for a good while, while Lux's is still 300 or 250 gold away from completion. So Lux probably should have gone with Bulwark on this run, just because it seems like she's not generating gold very efficiently with Frostfang, but just a bit of a nitpick, I suppose.
I mean, maybe. They did buff Frostfang a few patches ago to give you a little bit more AP to reward you for going that more aggressive play style, and I can definitely... Yep, that is actually going to be the first turret of the game picked up here for the side of Don't Go Top, as they do go top here, at least Sevar is going top, and That is going to be a nice pickup. All these outer turrets, definitely nice little gold goodie bags, as we like to call them in the biz. Either way, though, we have the cavalry coming, but keep in mind, 10 seconds until that dragon.
Crystal Arrow goes wide again, doesn't need help from his team this time to miss the ult, though it looks like Renekton's flashing out. Nar's jumping in. Will the Maokai ult does not catch up to him, unfortunately. A little bit of a slow ability. You kind of have to use it preemptively, you can't use it reactively. Meaning all they get is a Renekton flash in exchange for the dragon. That is Cloud Soul. Wait, they are there. Okay. They are behind. This is a bit of a Hail Mary play, but I do think that this is one of the only ways
they can... They're sniffing it out, though. Salted Pig gonna drop the word. They know this. They have the 3 members coming up. Clock Toilet even has the teleport. There's the slingshot.
Zach comes in, hits the double slingshot, CCs everyone out. Oh, they're forced off the Baron. Their last chance, their Hail Mary play doesn't come through. And that is Baron for the plumbing company. I really don't see DGT coming back from an 0-4 in Dragons with the Baron, as well as just the lead that FSPC has across the board here, but we'll just have to see how it goes, though it looks like they're going to push down mid, get this tier 2 mid turret, and open the map even further for themselves.
And this is such a scary place to be in. Savar actually going to be meeting IRL horror, as there's the green goo coming on in. I'm going to commit, but with this double 80 carry composition, the Caitlyn, the Corky here, for the side of the Plumbers Company, they're going to be able to tear through turrets just so easily if they ever get up and start autoing away, and that's going to be a very scary prospect here if you are on the side of Don't Go Top.
Oh, I think my scoreboard was glitching out.
What isn't glitching on this client?
That's fair, but it was still showing the components of
no!
Goes wide again. Unknown is having, okay. DGT is having a lot of rough time with their team fight ultimates this game. Shockwaves have not been connecting, Maokai ults have not been connecting, Crystal Arrows have not been connecting. We've seen a few Gnar ults here and there, but we just haven't seen much else, unfortunately. And it looks like DGT is just really struggling to find the opportunities and the execution just across this game.
Yeah, but, I mean, if there's a time... Oh, speaking of time, plunge... Okay. It's a little bit too slow, as there's the package. This should be the Dunzo Manifesto, and yes, it is Wilderness. Sure. Gonna be dropping like all the trees in his lovely little wilderness.
Yep, and as I was saying, the scoreboard was glitching out for me and only showing the components of Ludens, so I was a little behind on what items everyone had. I thought, I was wondering, at 28 minutes, how is Lux not finished an item yet? This is weird. But, nope, just me. She has, in fact, finished an item. Let's see here. Corky, speaking of finished items, has 3 of them. The only thing left is the Corrupting Pot and the Pink Lord are the only 2. So he's got 2 item slots left. I think he's going to be holding on to that Corrupting Pot for a while. I believe he has Time Warp Tonic. At least, I think that's standard for Corky runes. I can't see a secondary.
He does not have Time Warp Tonic, because that's an arrow.
The arrow comes through, the Zac ult comes through, Gnar ult comes through, just hits Zac, doesn't actually stun him, just moves him to the side a little bit. Does peel the Zac away from the carries, but the Cloud Soul, the Renekton's so fast. With the movement speed from the Black Cleaver, the movement speed from the Cloud Soul, he's quite the quick crocodile.
Oh my god,
the flash under your own Nexus turrets. Oh, it's so disrespectful. The Shockwave's up, hits all 3, we finally see it. A little late, though. Not much left to follow up on the Shockwave, but at least you can say he hit one. And
yeah, but when you're 0-4-1 Orianna, who's a level down even on the enemy 80 carry, you sadly won't exactly be getting those massive teamfight wiping ultis. You'll just be getting those teamfight chunking ultis, and when you don't have any other damage to follow up with it, the enemy team's just like, alright, well, you did like 60% of my health with that combo. Die.
Exactly, and I think it's quite sad to see. Also, I would like to point out, the death cap from the Orianna. Pretty standard purchase second item, but I feel like with how behind the Orianna is, and the fact that most of the time she's been hitting Zac and Renekton, I feel like maybe a Void Staff would have done more for her here, but maybe that's just me analyzing a little wrong, but I feel like perhaps the death cap isn't the best choice when you're so behind. At least not second item. But
yeah, you could make the argument for the Liandry's second here, if you wanted to, since I believe Liandry's a little bit cheaper than that death cap, gives you a little bit more defensive stats thanks to the tiny chunk of health it does. Either way, though, this is what we have right now. The death cap definitely got to be giga scary once this Orianna gets a little bit more AP in the tank due to the multiplicative nature of that item. But will we be seeing that point hit here with just how the game's been going? I don't know. 31 minutes into the game, 10,000 gold differential. We have the Elder Dragon up in a minute, Baron up in a minute and a half. That's going to give the Plumbers company here like such a nice ultimatum, because you can either force the trade of those omnibuffs, or if you're able to just pick off a beautiful fight, you can look to, you know, get the daily double and take down both those buffs and look to really end the game.
I think with the lead that the Plumbing Co. has, I feel like it's really difficult for DGT to even trade with them, because you could say a trade would be good for DGT, because if they can get Baron, they can probably wave clear it and just wait out until Elder buff ends. But I don't even think they're in a position to trade, Maokai getting caught out and murdered, because like 2 members of Plumbing Co. could hold DGT off of an objective, while the other 3 easily take the other objective, or even 2 taking the objective and 3 holding them off. I feel like Plumbing Co.'s lead just allows them to really force whatever they want, and the immense vision control they had in the red side of the map means not only do they get to pick on Maokai, because he just had to walk blind into the jungle to try to get something, but it means they get to Elder Dragon as well, because their DGT would have to walk through miles of wards to even get close to the best.
Yeah, and this Elder Dragon, not much longer for this world, getting absolutely shredded down. Saint Melee, not exactly up either, so do you really want to be taking this 4v5 when you're this far down? Probably not, and this is what we call between a rock and a hard place, Justice, because there isn't many rocks on the enemy team, but you're stuck in between one, and that's kind of an issue.
Exactly, and now they have the Elder, they can just force the Baron. With the immense power the Elder buff gives them, and the fact they were already ahead of DGT, it just means that there's really nothing DGT can do, because one person, like even like just a Corki, zoning them off, well, the Elder just burns them for so much. And if they try to fully engage on him, then SPC just turns and kills them, and then ends the game. So they kind of just have to concede the Baron here, and just hope they can wait out the duration of the Elder buff.
Yeah, and if they do manage to outlast that Baron buff, then they might have a little bit more of a shot at this game. Obviously, they are still very down in the pot, and they have a lot to deal with here in terms of coming back into this game, but never mind that. Okay. It's a zoning package.
He goes in, he goes out, and then he goes back in, and then he goes back out. So, looks like he's out, and then he's back in. Corki can't really decide, though. Gnar gets picked off by the Zac CC, the Caitlyn follow-up damage, and even the Lux ultimate, and the Elder buff just makes him explode. It looks like they don't even need the Baron like we were talking about. They're just going to end the game right now. Nothing really DGT can do to stop them. The ulting Crocodile is just too strong for them to deal with right now. Yet flashes in. Oh my god, just that. Oh man, that felt personal. Completely obliterates Ashe outside of her own fountain. And that is game 2 going the way of the Plumbing Co., putting our series up at 1-1 for now.
Yeah, and this is going to be game point. Whoever wins this gets to go on towards those finals, and that's a pretty prestigious thing to be hitting. So both these teams probably going to be wanting to fight tooth and nail.
I was thinking it was
never mind. I've been told that this is a 5-game set by our local Joe Deucer, Rando Joe, the hot dog. My mistake. I thought we were only doing best of 5s for finals, but I am wrong. I am no longer a hashtag certified risen icon, and I'll take full blame for this and sacrifice all my Travi bucks for it. Either way, though, don't go anywhere, because we will be back with this game number 3 in just a few minutes while we get everything sorted out.
Welcome back to Game 3 of Full Service Plumbing Co. versus DGT in the semifinals. Current game score is 1-1 with Full Service Plumbing Co. taking the last game. I'm once again Justice.
And I am Gopher, as flying through these pick and bans. Once again, a lot of familiar faces returning to the billboard here. That is pick and ban. Either way, let's see what the Plumbers company is able to grab. They are going to be going with that Caitlyn that they have been grabbing all series. Sticking to the comfort, it seems.
Wonderful to see another Ashe from DGT because, DGT was able to take the first game with the Caitlyn Ashe matchup. Full Service Plumbing Co. took the second game with the same matchup. So I wonder if DGT is confident in just taking it again, going with what worked for them the first time, or if they're going to change it up a little bit and see if they can get maybe a better matchup into the Caitlyn.
Yeah, Jin. Okay, that's interesting. I know some people like picking that into the Caitlyn since you have longer range than her with your abilities, and you are able to kind of contest her, of course, so you do tend to get very outscaled by the Caitlyn, and Jin does have some other issues that make him a little less desirable than a lot of other AD carries in the meta right now. However, though, it is going to be locked in with Graves here, so we are going to be having the double reloader comp here.
Yeah, the Jin may be something of a comfort pick, is what I suspect, because while he isn't top tier in the meta or anything, there are a lot of people who just enjoy playing the Jin, and just with the skill level that our teams are at and that our players are at, I'd say comfort on a champion is actually more important than the meta relevance of any of the champions at this point. So looks like we'll be seeing the Graves and the Zac picked, and the Zoe. If I recall, Full Service Plumbing Co. was banning Zoe in the previous matches, but they always ban her in second round. It looks like the Zoe is just being blind picked this round, which means while Full Service Plumbing Co. seem to not want to play into it, maybe they're comfortable playing into it with the counter pick, which is what they will be getting this time.
Yeah, as the Malphite being hovered right now to ban away, very successful in that game number 1, and we'll be seeing the Rift here in this game number 3. As curious to see what the rest of the bans are going to shape up to be, because there are a lot of ways you can be taking this right now. Whoever's pool you want to really pinch here, you could be aiming at the support pool here to really make sure that this Plumbers Company bot lane has a very easy time in that bot lane. DGT's support has been playing that Maokai all series long, and there it is off the table. So taking someone off comfort, definitely always a very strong thing to do.
Yeah, and on DGT's side, it seems like they're targeting top with these bans, maybe top and mid, though that Lux, as we previously discussed, could be flexed to the mid lane, which probably isn't. As we saw last game, it was the Lux support, and it probably will be again. So I think the top is just going to be the focus for DGT here, because with the Zoe and the Jin both have very long-range CC tools, though Zoe's through terrain, but if you can establish good vision, if you have a strong 3v3 in your top lane, banning out the Renekton, see, if you have a strong 3v3 in your top lane, you can go into the enemy jungle and establish vision and then pick them off with things like a long-range Zoe bubble or like a long-range Jin W. You can do a lot with the CC that they have.
For sure, and this is a very, very nice pick composition they have set up already. However, though, they probably want a little bit of beefiness here just to deal with any potential dive here. Potentially in the support role, we might see something like a tanky support, although into the Caitlyn Lux, that can be a little bit of a hard sell, unless, the cost support here, trying to match poke for poke, and now I really feel like this top laner here for Don't Go Top has to lock in something very, very beefy.
Yeah, definitely, unless, I guess you could argue Graves can be sort of tanky if he takes, Conqueror and goes the Black Cleaver route, but that's not really Graves' role as a champion much, and it's a real shame that they don't have access to, there's the Malzahar from Full Service Plumbing Co. But it's unfortunate for DGT they don't have access to the Maokai, because a tank and long-range pick potential is what they really wanted at the same time, and he fulfills both of those, but that would be why FSPC banned it out. We do see the Ornn rounding up the composition from FSPC, and that leaves them with quite a strong team. We'll see what DGT picks fifth to counter it.
Yeah, as that is a lot of single target potential burst here. Thanks to the Malzahar, thanks to the Lux, thanks to the Caitlyn, all very great at locking singular person down and making sure they aren't dead. However, though, there seems to be some issues in the chat here regarding champion select. We might actually have to get Joe to step in on this and give a tournament admin ruling because Ornn is disabled.
Oh, that's right. Ornn is disabled. Ornn, Samira, and Tom Kench are disabled champions for there.
So we are going to be having to get that sorted out here. As we do finish off the draft here with that Nunu and Willump. Maybe going to the top lane, but that might also just be okay, it looks like we're just going to be sorting that out in the Champions Lobby chat here. As both the teams just going to name a champion they want to pick since this was very far into the draft. Both teams only had those one and singular picks left. It looks like the side of... Oh, Lord. That's me having to... We are going to be having Aurelia coming out for the side of the plumbing company. And now it's just up to DGT for them to select their last pick out the text format. I got about 15 seconds. It isn't like Pro Draft where you have the nice little visual cues like something being hovered or the timer counting down, but I'll do my best to radio host this and maybe mime it to you guys.
About 10 seconds left on their attempt to pick, and they haven't said anything quite yet.
Alright.
This is killing me.
Set.
Okay. Set appears to be our final pick for the day, leaving our top lane matchup as Irelia on Full Sail Flamenco Full Service Flamenco versus DGT's Set going to the top lane for them. And I think that coming out of the draft, Full Service Flamenco has the better draft overall, but I can definitely see DGT executing on this count. I think it's a little squishy. Set isn't like... He's not like a Cho'Gath or a Scion, where he's like the 5,000 health bar, like epitome of beef. But he is a tank. So...
Yeah, because Set does fall into that Juggernaut role, has a lot of 1 versus 1 tools, and even 1 versus 2 tools in some situations, depending on how fed you are. Of course, so I will be going against that Aurelia in the top lane. Aurelia does typically have a decent time into Juggernauts once she gets a little bit of itemization and tankiness under her belt, as she is able to dip, dive, and dash in and out of their range very well. Just get out of their way. Juggernaut's known for being a little bit slow, a little bit lumbering. You have to really get in their face, and Aurelia can just do the dip and dive in around.
The set pull is pretty quick, however, and if he interrupts her dash before she reaches her target, even if she would have gotten a reset off of the target, it will not be refunded if it's interrupted, meaning if Set can just play the matchup better and, land the E to consistently interrupt the Irelia queue, he will be able to beat her down, especially once he finishes an item or two. So, while I'd say Aurelia does have the advantage in that lane, it's not one-sided or anything. And I'm curious to see the Zoe, because the Zoe was banned out by Plumbing Co. multiple times, and that leads me to believe it was a target ban. So I'd like to see what the mid laner for DGT is able to do on this Zoe that they have finally picked up for themselves.
For sure, because like you said, it's been kind of teased this entire series. And I mean, now we're going to get to see it here on full display. And we do have high expectations for it, considering it was that high priority ban has been slipped through. Of course, it will be going to that Malzahar in the mid lane, so if you do try and portal in, you can get hit by that Malzahar ulti very easily. Of course, he will still hop back, if I'm not mistaken, as...
You will.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Any trues in chat? Either way, though, I mean... Going through this champions select, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out, because there are a lot of familiar faces returning to the Rift, especially in the jungle and bot lane. However, though, there are several new faces when we do look towards these solo lanes.
The Jhin being a new face as well, but looking at the solo lanes, we're actually seeing quite different comps, with the exception of the Caitlyn, Lux, and Zac. Most of the other thing, and the Graves, most of the other things in this match are different. I feel like the fights will play out quite differently in this game, just like from what each team's looking to do, as opposed to what we've been seeing so far. Like I've said from previous games, I'm curious to see what the Keystones will be from the set. That's a champion with a couple options from the Aurelia. And we'll see if the Lux goes into Comet again, because this time she's going into the Vel'Koz. So she's matching up with another poke champion. And even though Guardian is nerfed, so it's not the obvious answer to stop Vel'Koz from poking them out, it's still an option here, and we'll see if it's an option she takes. Malzahar is quite a pain for Zoe. You can't catch him out with a portal because of his passive, so that is quite the annoying matchup. And he does have pretty good wave clear, so it's hard for Zoe to insta-kill the minions and just go portal bot lane or something. So that's frustrating.
Yeah, Malzahar passive is just such an annoying thing to deal with. Of course, though, especially early game, and when we're talking about laning phase, it does have an extremely long cooldown, so it is fairly easy to play around if you're able to just kind of randomly pop it with something. And Zoe has a very spammable kit where she is able to just constantly throw stuff at you, and she's probably going to be able to pop it one way or another, because it doesn't take a lot, like I said. And of course, her jump cooldown on that ultimate is a lot shorter than the Malzahar passive timer, so you can look to still fish for this.
You're entirely right there, and there are definitely answers that a pick composition, not just Zoe in general, but the entire comp of DGT has to answer into the Malzahar. But on the whole, we'll just have to see how each team plays it out, and if Malzahar gets caught out enough times for the pass to be popped and then for him to get caught again. But I guess we'll see that when we get into the game.
Oh.
back to Game 3 of Full Service Plumbing Co. versus Don't Go Top in our semifinals. Like I said before, the game score is 1-1, and this is our third match in a best-of-5 series. I'm still Justice.
I might be Gopherino. I might also be Rando Joe's ego, as there has been a Caitlyn picked all series long, and we all know that Rando Joe is very happy about that.
We are seeing some level 1 action already. Zoe going in for the deep ward, getting a little bit of damage in, getting some damage herself. Graves fighting with the Irelia, but the Irelia is retreating to mid lane. Irelia's going to back, so the damage isn't going to stick. Zoe's backing as well. Zach took a little bit of damage, but he doesn't need to. His health regen's going to take care of it. So, though that is some good vision down for our red side here, DGT, even at level 1.
Yeah, as a very uneventful level 1 does happen, and overall, of course, though, not gonna matter too much here, it feels like. Just a little bit of riff-raff on the Rift. Rift-raft, I guess? I don't know.
I'd say riff-raff. Though that level 1, with the vision that DGT was able to get, will actually let Graves know where Zach is. And with the early power Graves has, I think we might see Graves attempt an invade here. Either he'll try to catch Zach, or he'll go to the side of the jungle that Zach isn't to steal some camps. We'll see which one he wants to go for. But I do expect to see Graves in Zach's jungle at some point. Zach got the leash from his team. Graves didn't, though Graves is clear as faster than Zach. So that evens it out a little bit, but Graves will pull ahead as time goes on.
Yeah, and that is kind of expected, like we mentioned, especially the last game. Of course, though, so dude, she's not exactly looking to outfarm the Graves. You want to be outpacing their Graves, out-ganking the Graves, looking to spread your influence across the map.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things about Zach, is his entire kit's basically CC, and he buys a lot of cheap tank items, which means even if the Graves deprives him of camps and is like 40 CS up on him, that doesn't mean the Graves is more useful than him. And that's one of the reasons, I imagine, that the Plumbing Pro was to pick Zach in this matchup. Zoe missing the bubble, unfortunately, but it's not like he was going to die there anyways. We see priority coming through from the bot lane of DGT, pushing in the blue side under their turret, and Zach actually stealing Graves' blue buff. Looks like Zach anticipated the invade and was able to properly counter, though we might just see a coin flip map in this case, where Graves just sits top side and Zach just sits bot side.
Oh, that's done. Actually missed. That's got to be a huge mishap there in that trade, actually, if you're Exalted Pig, because it's going to result in him losing more than half his health. Thankfully, he does have the biscuits, does have the corrupted potion, so we'll be able to get back up to full at some point here.
Something I forget if I was able to mention in Game 2 is that Exalted Pig was Plumbing Co.'s jungler in Game 1. He's been their top laner in Games 2 and now Game 3. So they were able to do a bit of a switch there.
Slingshot.
Zoe getting caught. He's going to use the flash to get out. Exalted Pig just taking a lot of damage from the set. Looks like that E is causing him some big issues at the moment. Graves coming in. He's got the slowdown. Will he have enough damage to kill Malzahar? Not quite. Does Graves that count as an AoE for the purposes of killing Voidlings, I wonder? Because Voidlings take reduced AoE damage, so at least I recall they do. So if Graves' auto attack is counted as an AoE, he might actually need 2 or 3 autos to kill them. If not, then he'll be able to one-shot them with an auto like most people do. So
I feel like he should be able to one-shot them. We'll see that at some point this game as, oh my god, that's a great little smoke screen, but will it matter because the Clock Toilets here doesn't have the ultimate with that Nether Grass quite yet, but does have quad.
Yeah, unfortunately the bot lane for the Plumbers were able to get up there a little faster than the bot lane for DGT, and it means that the Scuttle will have to be conceded to the Zach. And that actually means that at the moment, Zach is ahead of the Graves in farm. Between the Leash and the Smart Steal, the blue buff, and the Roam from his bot lane, Zach is actually managing to out-farm Graves as Caitlyn misses a candidate. Yeah, always feel sad.
Yeah, it does always feel sad, but I guess we're living up to the name of Rando Joe with missing cannons on Caitlyn, sadly. But, Joe BM aside, getting back to the game, very calm so far outside of some scuffles, but no real kills yet. Of course, as I say that, we do see a little bit of a trade coming out here in this bot lane. Yeah, Unknown, definitely coming worse for wear.
after he got hit by the Lux snare, he took quite a bit of damage from the Lux and the Caitlyn. That's one of the benefits of that bot lane, is if Lux or Caitlyn catches you with a single CC, or you get CC'd up by their team, their follow-up damage is really high. If you're already crowd controlled, there's nothing you can really do to avoid getting trapped or Caitlyn, or trapped by the Caitlyn and then headshot autoed, or even ulted by the Lux once post-X comes around. So quite a dangerous bot lane if they land anything.
Yeah, but you could say that about either of these bot lanes, really. A lot of potential burst once we hit this level 6. Because, especially for Saint Melee, especially for Best Plunger, both of them with their ultimates can do a lot of damage to both members on the opposing laning side. Of course, we are still 2 levels off that point, so it's going to be another few minutes here before we really see that come out. But Clogged Toilet is walking bot, does have the Flash and Nether Grasp available, but with how pushed the bot lane is, just going to opt to take out that one little scouting plant in the enemy jungle to try and scout out where Little Daisy is.
Yep. We do see Aurelia was actually winning trades and now has a CS advantage up in the top lane, but that is because she backed and teleported to lane, and Set has backed and not used the teleport. Set has opted for the first back Bramble Vest, which is curious, but I think I see what he's coming for. Aurelia, meanwhile, pushed the wave into his turret and then reset for herself. So she has gone back to lane. She has a full Vamp Scepter and another Longsword, meaning she's obviously going for the Dork, as most Aurelia players do. And Set still has that Bramble, which is a little interesting, but we'll see how it goes for him.
The Bramble is definitely highly effective in this matchup because Aurelia just has a lot of healing with the way she itemizes, the way she itemizes runes, I guess is the phrase for it, and then of course her default kit, the Blade Surge, adds in a lot of healing, so just being able to reduce that alongside her damage is going to be very nice here for Savar on this set. I doubt we're going to be seeing a full-on Thornmail rush. You almost never see that outside of extremely rare circumstances on specific champions. But it might also cost this set a little bit here for Savar for the duration of laning phase, since you are paying that 1,100 gold tax to negate enemy healing, and does mean you are going to be lacking a bit of combat stats. Clogged Toilet just going to eat a random ignite. One of his minions dropped.
Actually, look at the cooldowns. That looks like it was Zoe's real ignite.
Spellbook ignite. It's very wacky to track Zoe summoners when
no, because the teleport's the spellbook one.
Okay.
That was really
It's just so hard to keep track of Zoe summons when she takes spellbook.
It is very difficult, but I from what I can see, I'm not seeing an ignite from spellbook in chat anywhere, so I think that was just a real ignite. Interesting use of a real ignite, but you know, I guess it did win him the trade.
As gonna use that spellbook teleport to get on back to lane, get yourself some free prio while holding on to that flash. But Earthly Dragon is coming out here for the side of the Plumber's Company, and it is gonna be nice to have under their belt, just get a pinch of extra scaling.
Yeah, and looks like Aurelia is establishing quite a good CS lead up in the top lane, especially with how she was getting bullied earlier, and the Zac is still ahead of the Graves. Granted, only by 3 now, but typically we'd see the Graves like ahead of the Zac by a pretty wide margin, so the fact that Zac is pretty much almost even with him is already really good for the Zac. He's denying Snowball from the Graves in this case. CS and mid and bot pretty much equal, so we're seeing a lot of even CS across the board, but I'd say overall the current state of gold just favors the Plumbers.
Yeah, and still though, it's kind of hard to call any shots for now with how early we're in the game, but Wilderness is going to find a Malzahar.
A lot of follow-up CC from the Plumbers. Looks like they are going to end.
Oh no, the wrong way with the bubble!
Okay, he did bubble the Zac. Zac's going to go down. Cell Division's up, but I don't think it'll be enough. He's just going to get bullied by the enemy bot lane, unfortunately, meaning Jhin is able to pick up the kill. So now Malzahar has the lead in the mid lane, but Jhin now has the lead in the bot lane. So we'll see how that shakes things out. We don't have another dragon for 4 minutes, so this doesn't mean... So Zac dying doesn't mean anything right now, but we'll see if the gold shifting just a little bit has any greater impact on things, as Set has shrunk the farm lead and Graves has finally pulled ahead, as he was farming while Zac was doing, you know, the entire fight in the blue side.
Yep, as 1-for-1 in the end, and both the kills going over to potential carries on both these sides, but in differing lanes, so that might have a nice little shake-up effect here on the map for the next couple of minutes.
Seeing a lot of damage come through from the Jin Q, but I guess the damage is matched by Lux's ultimate. Not quite fair to compare his Q to her ult, but we are seeing the Malzahar shield go down. Zoe might have an opening. Though Zac is behind Zoe, so he does need to be very careful of getting slingshot from the Raptor camp, which is what it looks like he's exactly going to try to do. But she's under her turret now, and as Malzahar doesn't have the ultimate up, I don't think they're going to be looking for a dive right now. Zac doesn't even have that skill.
Although with that fully completed Cinderhulk on this Zac Force Skadoosh, that is quite a bit of base tankiness already, but like you said, not having that passive, not having the Malzahar ulti, it's just adding way too many uncertainties into the equation that you don't really want to be vibing with for the most part here.
Especially when the Nimbus Cloak Zoe will probably ignite you, and with the speed from her Nimbus Cloak and the speed from her W, will probably just run away from you. Unless you've got that Malzahar to lock her down. She's quite a fast champion. Speaking of finishing jungle items, Graves has the Warrior enchant completed as well. And the base tankiness from Cinderhulk is quite impressive, but the base AD from Warrior enchant is very nice as well. It's 60 AD, and its components only add up to, I think Caulfield's is 25, correct me if I'm wrong about that. So yeah, the actually finishing the Warrior enchant is very gold efficient for a lot of people, especially ones like Graves.
That is most jungle items in general. They tend to have higher gold efficiency since they are locked to the jungle. Junglers tend to have lower income compared to laners, as there's a fight in the bot lane. There's the slingshot.
The Luxol comes through, finishes the Vel'Koz. It's a lot of damage. I wasn't expecting that, but, you know, it's a lot.
Here's Malzahar.
All comes through on the Graves. Nothing you can do. You can't outplay the left mouse button. The mighty LMB of Malzahar players.
Lamab? I don't know how you pronounce LMB. Either way, though, that is a nice, clean, and easy 2-0 in the bot lane coming out for Plumber's Company, and that's kind of big, because now you got a kill onto both these bot laners. That is going to even up the 80 carries and kills, but also it's going to net in a bit of tempo lead and a bit of CS lead in this bot lane, and with Best Plunger being able to nab one of those kills for himself, that's going to give him a good amount more threat, as Wilderness, land a bubble, going to die to minion damage.
And no, he was not ignited. I forgot he was the one who uses ignite, my bad. But, you see, Malzahar basically gave up nothing with that roam down to, what the hell is Jin doing? Jin walking up, taking a very weird trade, walking very far ahead of the minion wave into the Caitlyn. I'm not sure what that was about. But, as I was saying, Malzahar gave up pretty much nothing to roam down the bot lane. When he set his bot lane ahead, he was able to push out the wave first, and that's one of the strengths of Malzahar is his insane wave clear. He just walks up to a wave, presses E and W, and he can just leave. And he will get the entire wave, and there's not much you can do to stop it. So, Zoe just got pushed in, Malzahar was able to roam, and when he came back, he had missed nothing. So then he was able to push Zoe into her own turret, and just completely avoid being punished for the roam, and then he even got a kill out of it.
Yeah, as, oh, wait, does Unknown go for the cheeky recall canceling? That's what I'm wondering. Doesn't look like.
Nope.
Yep, sadly.
Unknown does have a call.
Yep. He does?
Alright, looking across the board, Set appears to have gone for the Phage after the Bramble Vest, which means he's not going into the Bork as a lot of Sets do. He looks like he's going for the Cleaver type build, which, looking at the other team, I can see it. I can see why you'd want the Cleaver. I would have thought the Bork to match Fiorelli on the side lane a little better. Oh, Zoe's in trouble here. There is a Malzahar ult coming down onto her, and then the Lux Salt and the Zac Slingshot. There is just no hope.
You're not getting out of that one. Even if you did summon her spellbook a cleanse out of that, don't believe Riot Games support on Twitter. They're lying to you when they say cleanse gets you out of the Malzahar ulti. Either way, though, that is a very untimely death for Wilderness's Zoe here, as putting your team at this man disadvantage right as the second dragon spawns. It does mean that Cloud Dragon is going to be going to the enemy team, who will really appreciate that on more or less all their members here. As it is going to be the Ocean Soul, this game, very nasty soul.
That, Zac jumping into your team with his passive blobs, like a Spirit Visage and Ocean Soul, he's just regenerating so much that he becomes exceptionally hard to kill. Granted, there's some grievous wounds coming through on the side of DGT already, especially with these sets, Bramble Vest being his first item, but I'm looking to see what the Graves builds first here, because like a lot of the time we see Graves go for lethality. In last game, when he was getting completely decimated, he went for the Cleaver first, but this game Graves particularly is only slightly behind. He's been farming most of the game, so big shield from the set W not going to be enough. Oh, wait, perhaps, nope. Okay, Aurelia's going to jump onto the... Aurelia getting the resets. She can just mop up both kills after ulting. That is unfortunate. Being able to Q multiple times off of her marks that she's able to put on you, as well as killing a unit with the Q itself. Zach looking like he's going onto the Zoe, stopping her from doing much, or cleaning up the kill. Zach with the Cinderhawk does more damage than you think he does.
I am well aware of Tanks being able to do ridiculous amounts of damage.
Graves appears to be going for lethality this game. He does have that Dirk. I'd like an Umbreglaive out of him. He went Ghostblade in the first game. I didn't quite like that. I felt like Umbreglaive was the better option. I feel like this game as well, I would like to see an Umbreglaive for him. Even though he's behind, the Umbreglaive will help him establish vision control in his own jungle and shut down a little bit of the pick potential of the Plumbing Co., but looks like some more turrets are dropping as Plumbing Co. extends their lead.
And that's just so nasty to have. If our observer Joe could take a quick look at the gold here, we can see in the solo lanes that the gold lead is definitely adding up right now, especially in that top lane. That's over 2,000 gold separating these two top lanes. That is not a good prospect when you are on that stranded, lonely top lane island that is such a common occurrence here on the League of Legends rep, but there's the slingshot on in, there's the stretchy grab, the stretchy goo.
He has enough follow-up damage to actually kill the Jhin despite the CC. Bubble lands with the Lux. She's probably going down to the Graves. It's right there. Yep. With the Sleepy Trouble bubble damage coming through, Graves is able to just auto Lux one time for the kill. Going on to the Caitlyn, doesn't have the damage. Flashes the slingshot from the Zac to get out of it. Malzahar is going to put some damage down on him. Oh, Vel'Koz, you're not ulting anything, buddy! Oh, that's tragic. Zoe's going to stopwatch. Don't think it's going to get her out of anything, though. Malzahar had the ult up still. Looks like Plumbers are just going to clean an ace at 17 minutes, and it looks like their lead's just getting disgustingly large. The gold difference in the mid lane was actually bigger than the top lane when you were talking about it, and now the gold difference has just got even larger, especially as now it's the top lane getting even larger, as it is almost 3,000 gold between Aurelia and the set now, with gold leads for every single member of the Plumbers across the board. Even the power farming Graves, who has just done nothing but try to get himself ahead, just isn't ahead of the Zac in any gold. Zac just has 9 takedowns, and the fact that Graves only 4 CS up on him, or 6 CS rather, just isn't enough to counter that.
Yeah, and honestly, this is such a precarious position to be in here for Don't Go Top, as it's just rough all around the board for them. They don't have any winning lanes here. Every lane has lost, and you don't really have any claims to fame, which is going to be such a hassle because there's no one you can try and at least play through to win, and it's gonna be such a terrible time. But that's a great Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Doesn't quite finish Lux off, though, unfortunately for him. Even though he does have the full loot ends, no stacks of the Dark Seal, and nothing like Sork Boots, so not quite enough damage quite yet on that Zoe. That's what being behind will do to you. If Zoe wasn't 2,000 gold down on Malzahar, if it was Zoe who had 8,000 gold currently, that would be a dead Lux. We'd be looking at a very different story here. But for DGT to come back into this game, the Plumber Co. would start needing to making mistakes that they just haven't been making so far. They would need to set themselves up to get picked off, and that they just haven't so far. So it'll be interesting to see how DGT goes about the rest of this game, looking for picks in a situation where they haven't quite managed many yet.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to manage something soon here, Justice, because, oh no.
Another Malzahar ult, the slingshot coming through. Graves has no hope. The Malzahar ult almost killed him from full health by itself.
Oh my.
Follow-up damage from the Zac and the Malzahar and the Caitlyn all coming in, just cleaning house. A Trouble Bubble lands, who cares? Set's actually surviving an obnoxious amount of time, is able to get the kill on the Malzahar, but This is going to be a 5-1 ace on the side of the Plumbers Co. Zoe flashes. Oh, it was a fake flash, so it doesn't matter. Dies anyways. And this is sole point being established for the full service Plumbing Co. as they continue to execute their very clean Game 3 so far.
And it's kind of shambles here already for the side of Don't Go Top. They're this far behind this early on. Like you said, it is Soul Point already. It's going to be that Ocean Soul. Facing Ocean Soul as the team who is behind is just one of the worst feelings ever. Because you're already struggling to kill people with just how far behind you are. Now imagine having to go through all that Ocean Dragon's obnoxious healing. You are either left with you trying to counter the healing by getting Grievous Wounds, but that will also really hurt your damage. Or do you just try and out-damage it, but kind of fail to do so since you're so far behind it? It really is a very harsh catch-22 situation.
Yeah, I'd say the only person who still has, if they get that Ocean Soul, the only person who can consistently put out a DPS threat would be Zoe, because all of her damage is, it's pretty much instant. She will do, like, her entire burst at one moment, so the Ocean Soul healing isn't particularly effective against Zoe. That is quite the nice pick on the Malzahar. The Set ult, interrupting the Malzahar ult, so Graves and Set can just burst him down when they caught him out. Malzahar pushed up pretty far. A bit of a misplay from the Plumbers, and it's good that DGT is able to capitalize on it, but DGT still has no vision of their own red side, and they are going to walk into a pit. Graves is dead. The bounce coming through from the Zac ultimate. Zoe looking for a Q, not able to get one, but she is able to get the auto off, so that bubble didn't go entirely to waste. Zac's taking a blast, but Zoe's out.
And this Zac should just be able to tank this Zoe for days. Granted, though, I'm a little curious about the Zac itemization getting the Spear Visage second when you're against a very primarily physically orientated enemy team comp. The Spear Visage is definitely fine. It's just for the second item, I would have vouched for maybe an armor item, but he is definitely making it work here, so I shouldn't be one to argue.
Yeah, even against the physical damage threats of DGT at the moment, because Zac is so far ahead of them, the health CDR and increased healing off his blobs that Spirit Visage adds just means that they're probably not going to kill Zac, even though he doesn't have armor yet. And so it's definitely a little bit of a rough situation for them. I don't really see a good way for them to kill him other than 5v1ing him over the course of like 10 seconds. Oh, the Malzahar ult into the Lux ult. Graves has to flash to get out, using the collateral damage to throw himself back, and Zac is still on the chase. Zac's still going. He's diving the man's inhibitor tower, and he gets the kill. Wow, that feels bad.
That's just been this game so far, like, hey, yeah, your zone is my zone, but here's a fight.
Set getting the stun onto the Caitlyn and the Zac, or the Lux and the Zac, getting the true damage W off onto the Lux, getting a pick on. Good on the Set. The Aurelia's coming in though, and it looks like Aurelia, yep. Once the Aurelia was able to catch up, it looks like the DGT with the Vel'Koz ultimate will not be able to proc the true damage before he gets killed by the Caitlyn. Unfortunate. If he had been able to if he had the true damage ready from the start of that ultimate, I think it actually would have been able to kill the Zac and the Aurelia. But unfortunately, the Spirit Visage and the Merc Treads on the Zac proved to be a little too much MR for Vel'Koz to handle without the true damage on from his passive.
Especially when this Vel'Koz hasn't even finished a single item, but there's the slingshot coming on out. Wilderness.
Zoe will flash to dodge, but she is Malzahar E, and you can flash, you can dash, you can do everything you want, but you cannot get around the point-and-click prowess of Malzahar.
Yeah.
No outplaying that.
Unless you can outlive speed up, but that is very hard to do. With this inner turret being taken down, that's going to be the second inner turret taken of this game, and this is nearly a perfect game coming out from the Plumbing Company here, as if we ignore those kills, they're completely dominating across the map in objectives, and even in CS2 and that mid and top lane, which is very, very hard to deal with.
I'd say even the kills aren't much of a blemish on their record, because it feels like every time DGT finds a pick or goes in on someone, even if they get the kill, the return, like the counterattack that the Plumbers are able to launch on them is able to just get way more. Like we saw in just the last fight, when Set was able to get a good engage, it was able to kill the Lux, and then it resulted in like 3 members of DGT dying. So it's just been a really rough game for Don't Go Top this entire time, and we'll see if they're able to do anything about it as the dragon spawning in 20 seconds. The full service plumbing co is obviously setting up around it, establishing all their vision, and I'd say if they get this game's pretty much sealed.
It's kind of already sealed. This is more of the icing on the cake as the fight is breaking on out.
Set getting a pretty big ult in, dealing a lot of damage with Zach's bonus health, but it's not enough damage. While the Set's doing what he can, his team's just too far behind. Vel'Koz is able to flash to get the kill on Malzahar, but it looks like Jhin and Vel'Koz are both dead. Zoe runs away. She's fast, but she's not fast enough to outrun a bullet. Caitlyn's able to pick off the fleeing Zoe, and they are able to turn for a 3 Ocean Soul. Quite a rough match for Don't Go Top, and it looks like this should be... Once they get this, they can pretty much just siege and win, or just set up for Baron in the end.
Yeah, they're already grabbing this mid lane inhibitor turret this early on in the game. Well, okay, it's not super early in the game, but still. They grab the Ocean Soul, they grab this inhibitor turret. I don't know if they'll be able to grab this inhibitor since it is just Exalted Pig. Sure, he's fed as all hell, but he's not quite at the 1 versus 5 state. Maybe 1 versus 3, but 1 versus 5 is stretching it.
Yeah, and well, Aurelia is a pretty good split pusher. She doesn't have anything that does excessive damage to turrets, or maybe she could have gotten that. Oh, we do see Zach getting caught by the Set here, and with the reduced healing from Bramble, he is able to cut a little bit of that ocean healing back, but not enough. Zach just disregards him and walks away.
It is calming down a little bit here on the Rift for now, at least. Don't think that'll last too long, though, since Baron is on that table and that mid lane inhibitor is on that table here if you are on the Plumbers Company side.
Indeed, and it looks like DGT is just trying to do their best to wave clear and just get as much as they can away from their base. If they were to lose a fight with any, like at the moment, I'm pretty sure it should be the end of the game. So DGT needs to be very careful with where they step and what they do.
The teleport coming out here from Wilderness. They know this is happening, but can they do anything about it? That's already more than half off the Baron. There's the Sleepy Trouble bubble coming in. What's gonna happen?
Zach's on the Baron. I don't think Graves is blue team. Okay, but Caitlyn's able to secure it for her team. Zach did not smite it, curiously enough, which means that with Zach not smiting the Baron, it was actually possible for DGT to get a steal there, but it looks like they just weren't able to manage it. Now Zach takes no damage from Vel'Koz. That is so sad. And Vel'Koz is finished off as Zach heals up. You hate to see it, but it looks like the Plumber should just be able to walk out of that game here.
And once again, we see a 3-for-1, but this time they lose the Baron 2 here for Don't Go Top. And this is truly dire straits here. It doesn't take a wizard to look at this kill score. It doesn't take a wizard to look at, hey, they're going for double inhibs here. Never mind that. Wilderness just losing his entire health bar from 3 autos.
Indeed, and this is just kind of... It's just waiting for the inevitable at this point. There's not much DGT can do about it. They're slowing the advance of the Plumbers, but they're not able to stop it. Plumbers, the teleport comes in, all 5 members of the full service plumbing co are there, and it looks like they're just going to clean things up for a blue side win, putting our game score at 2-1.
And this is going to be match point right now for the Plumbers Company. If they win this, they are going to be going on to the Risen and Premade Rampage Premade finals here. And I mean, DGT, they just looked lost and outclassed this game. They're going to have to do a nice little makeover coming into this next game and figure out what the hell went wrong and fix it.
Personally, I think they should stop picking this Graves. It was disgusting in the first game, but it looks like the Plumbers just found their way to counter it. They're just good at playing around. Maybe ban out this Caitlyn. Hayemi has shown good performances on it every single game, or just generally change up their strategy. We've seen kind of the same thing from DGT in all 3 games now, and I feel like maybe if they're looking to take the series home and reverse their way back and like get to a win for themselves here, they might want to try to mix it up a little bit.
For sure, but that's something we will have to be catching in the next game, as we are going to be jumping to a quick break here on the desk as we sort things out, but don't go anywhere, as It is game number 4 coming up here in this semifinal match.
Welcome back to Game 4 of Full Service Plumbing Co. versus Don't Go Top. Currently, we are seeing Full Service Plumbing Co. on the blue side again as we get into picks and bans, and the current game score is 2-1 in favor of the Plumbers.
Yeah, and this is this match point here. There is no losers bracket here in this league, so if you lose here, you are donezo, and you are out.
Exactly, and speaking of losing, we are seeing the Zac banned away from DGT, the pick that has been used to beat them twice in a row now, and that could be a good thing. It could mean they're changing up their strategy, or they could be banning the Zac as a Graves counter and looking to pick the Graves again. I don't necessarily think they should be doing that, but we'll see what they actually do once we get into picks here, as the Plumbers have first pick of this game.
Yeah, as it's gonna be the Graves this time instead of the Ashe/Caitlyn. So
Don't Go Top has banned the Graves counter, and then they got their Graves stolen. You hate to see it.
That is true. Either way, though, I mean, it does open up here at the jungle counter pick on the side of Don't Go Top, because there are still plenty of other Graves counter picks in the game. So pick one, anyone, if you do so please.
That is entirely fair. We'll see what they use to actually counter. We are seeing the Ashe for the third time in this series. The last time they tried the Jhin didn't seem to work out for them, so it looks like they're going back to the Ashe. I respect it. A very consistent pick. She can kind of find her place in any team comp, really. So, DGT going for the Ashe. Let's see what their second pick of the first round is. Volibear. Technically could be flex top, but I think we're going to be seeing that in the jungle.
So we've been seeing much more Volibear top lately, actually. So typically when we see the Volibear jungle, it's more so that during the second phase, you decide to flex it. You lock it in the first phase saying, this is probably going top, but it can go jungle if needed. And then during the second phase, during the fourth or fifth picks, then you're usually like, all right, yeah, this is going top or this is going jungle. Either way, that the Caitlyn Lux combo that has been working out so well here for the Plumbers crew, once again locked in.
And we do see the Maokai again. So we're seeing the same bot lane picks that we've seen this exact matchup before, and it looks like we're going to be seeing it again. I do see Volibear picked into Graves every now and then. Zoe and Malzahar both banned, neither of the mid laners from last game making a return. But I have seen Volibear picked into Graves jungle in professional play before. So I think it was at Worlds pretty recently. So maybe Volibear is a Graves counter, and I just don't remember it. But we'll see where he goes. He could be flexed in. He could be flexing a variety of roles. You could even actually send that Volibear support in the Maokai top if they wanted to get really funky. But given we've seen the support for DGT play the Maokai multiple times in this series already, I don't think that's what we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, although, I mean, technically still a possibility. Always something to keep your eye out on. And if there is a time to bring it out, it is when your whole potential Risen run is on the line here. So hey, maybe we will be seeing that funky chunky monkey flex arena.
Exactly, and the Mordekaiser and the Renekton are both banned out as we see the first pick of the second phase going through for DGT. Wonder what it'll be. It's the Echo. Okay, so the Echo we saw in Game 1 worked out fantastically for them. Don't think we've seen it again since then. We've seen the Orianna and the Zoe for DGT in the following game, so we'll see. We'll see if they can return to that strong mid-jungle duo that they were playing around in Game 1 that won them the game the first time. But I don't know how strong your mid-jungle duo can be into a Graves, because that is a very hard champion to fight. But looks like they're going with the Aurelia now.
And that Aurelia did have a very hard pop-off last game. I know early on I did mention that there was that one slip-up during a level 2 trade that cost it him a lot of health. However, though, he was able to bring it back from that and not let one little failure get in the way of an entire game. And I can't wait to see him on this Irelia once again. As the Vygar being hovered, that definitely is a champion. It really screws over the Volibear, and it can mess up the Echo to a decent degree. However, though, that Vygar can be very vulnerable when the event Horizon Cage is down.
I'm interested in seeing this Vygar, because the second part of Echo's E is a blink, so albeit situationally, he does have a way of getting around that event Horizon if the Vygar doesn't play it properly. And I feel like this mid lane is going to be pretty one-sided. If Echo can get his early game advantages off, he will just steamroll this Vygar and prevent him from ever scaling. Oh, they're picking the set into the Irelia again. I see they're going back to the top lane matchup last time. Set didn't do particularly well into it last time. We'll see if they have better better turnout this time around. The jungle matchup is entirely different, so that might have a pretty good impact on things. But looking back to the mid lane, I feel like Echo is probably going to either bowl over Veigar and completely stomp him, or he's just going to get shut out. It's kind of a one-sided thing. Either Echo pops off or he doesn't, and I feel like that's going to be a very big determining factor in the result of this match.
Yeah, of course, though. I mean, we have seen expectations kind of defied earlier this series, so maybe we will be seeing that again this game. Who knows?
Oh, set is actually Malphite. They are not taking the same matchup they took last game. That is the Malphite pick into the Irelia. I think that's a better idea for them. I like that more in the context of their team. The Malphite does have a pretty good lane into the Irelia with the armor he stacks, especially considering it's Graves in the jungle as well. So, and Veigar's not exactly a roaming champion, so Malphite won't have to deal with any magic damage until mid-game at least. So I do like the Malphite in this situation.
For sure, and having that Malphite against a very heavy physically orientated composition, that's just always so nice to have. Of course, there's the Lux, there's the Vygar, there's some magic damage you have to worry about. However, though, is being able to turbo armor stack against the Caitlyn, against the Graves, they won't be able to tickle you for done diddly do, to put it in Ned Flanders terms, I guess. And of course, that Irelia, also very physically damaged base, does do a decent amount of mixed damage. However, though, the Malphite gonna be able to soak up a lot of damage from this Irelia, especially early on.
Especially with slowing her attack speed. And while the Event Horizon is usually a pretty good disengage, Unstoppable Force doesn't care about you or your Event Horizon. If you can put that down, and Malphite will pretend like it's not even theirs. He ults right through it. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, that the Malphite can, in fact, get past any level of disengage that FSPC has, and looking at their team, it looks like they're lacking in disengage. Other than the Vygar cage, they don't really, and maybe the Lux snare or like Caitlyn traps, they don't have a great way of getting away from stuff like Volibear, Maokai, and Echo's ultimates, or not Echo, Malphite's ultimates, unless they are able to Event Horizon them.
For sure, of course. So, I mean, sometimes you can't always make the argument that the best defense is a good offense, because you can also just try running them down too. Like, they struggle a little bit if you do run into them. I would argue that Don't Go Top do have a few more tools to dissuade engage, or at least counter engage, thanks to the set, thanks to the Echo, thanks to the Maokai, but still, you got the tools. Why not throw them at the enemy team?
Exactly, and I feel like this game's really going to be dictated by who gets an early lead, and that's one of the reasons this Vygar worries me, because I feel like if he concedes too much and Graves gets punted in the early game, the DGT might just run away with things. So, we'll have to see how it goes, though, and see how this Vygar pick really stacks up when the actual game starts.
Yeah, as it definitely is a little bit of a question mark here. Of course, it is the classic range versus melee matchup. The range character will usually have more access to early harass, and when you're talking about Vygar, about harass, he does get free ability power off of that thanks to his passive, and if this Echo here for the side of Don't Go Top eats too much harass, that can add up, force him to take some early backs that he might not want to, might result in a clogged toilet, being able to hit some AP benchmarks he might not have been able to in some other matchups.
You're right with that, so we'll have to see if the Veigar is basically able to play the matchup well enough to harass the Echo and stay out of his effective range, because if Veigar gets stunned or something by the Echo, he will probably die, but obviously as Veigar, he will try just not to get stunned by Echo, so we'll see if Veigar is able to space him out and survive the lane phase to the point where he outscales. and if the Event Horizon will be enough to deter any engage or 2v2 fights from the Volibear and the Echo, assuming the Volibear is jungling.
Of course, assuming that Volibear is going into the jungle, always a little bit of a question mark, but 20 seconds have passed in the choose your loadout screen, so we know that all of these are the final positions here for these champions as per the Risen rules written by Mr. Travis himself on one faithful stormy night. Either way, though, this is definitely going to be an eventful game, and we are going to sadly have to cut it to a short break here on the desk while we do prep up for this game number 4. But don't go anywhere, because this is a hell of a series, and this could be the end of the series, and we could be crowning one of our potential finalists here in this next and upcoming game.
Welcome back to the next game and potentially the last game, should the Plumbers take this one home, of our semifinals between the Full Service Plumbing Co. and Don't Go Top. The Plumbing Co. is on blue side again, as it looks like the level 1 action's already squaring up there. What have to happen is people are squaring up across the map.
Hey, you know what? Definitely liking this swagger coming out from Don't Go Top, since they know they gotta be doing a little bit of something in this game here to try and make an implant on this map. And while there isn't too much that happens because of it, thankfully they do get the deep ward down. That is going to help them track out Squadouche on the Graves and keep up with him. Although, I guess one thing we can quickly direct our attention to here on the desk is the fact that Wilderness went Hail of Blades on the Echo. Not something I have typically seen on Echo. I don't know if it's a relatively new thing on Echo, but it did.
Thing.
Yeah, it did stand out to me.
We also see Clogged Toilet using Glacial Augment on the Vagar, and we see PTA being taken on Little Dizzy's Volibear. And I think that tells me a lot about what the Volibear plans to do here. He's not going Conk or Aftershock for the team fight Volibear. He wants to fight this Graves. He is going to square up to this Graves. He's going to contest Graves. He wants to take the 2v2. I'm not sure about the Halo Blades on Echo. I don't know what the purpose of that is. I feel like if you want to burst on Echo, Electrocute's the way to go. But I guess we'll see exactly what it does for him as we get into this match. I don't exactly claim to be an expert on Echo or the he takes, so I'm just gonna trust the Wilderness knows what he's doing when he's taking that round.
Yeah, I'm taking a quick look at U.GG to potentially see if it's something that is coming out quite a bit. I'm not seeing any Hail Blades, though. A lot of Electrocute and a lot of Dark Harvest, so maybe it is something that is very new on Echo. Maybe it is a slight misclick in the Rampage selection. I don't know. That is something we'll just have to see as the game does progress on.
It could be just an uncommon tech choice, the same way some people take Halo Blades on Silas. It's like where you don't normally see it, but it does have its place. Just getting a lot of... Oh, that is the flash from the Volibear. The Event Horizon, he doesn't have it yet, I don't think. Or no, he does. He's level 3 now. Must have been on cooldown at the time. Oh no, he put 2 points in his Q. He doesn't have it. Interesting. So we're seeing the gank come through from the Graves. Echo placing the Perilous Convergence, placing down the shield. Out of mana, though. Not a whole lot he can do now that he's from that Q. Looks like might have enough mana for one more, and that's about it. Echo and Volibear getting... I'd say the better end of that 2v2, as Vagar is now flashless, and they definitely abused him not having that stun at level 3, like you would expect him to. But no kills coming through, and technically it was flash for flash.
Yep, of course, though, it is a very typical trade where you trade the jungler's flash for a laner's flash, because a laner's flash typically means a lot more since it means they're vulnerable. It means your laner typically still has their flash, so if your laner, like Echo first, let's say, for example, is able to go aggressive and land some initial CC to lock down that enemy laner, hey, that is pretty good. Of course, though, we will have to see, because this is very early on. Echo typically needs a little bit of time to really come online. He likes to get that first item to start getting the whole ball rolling. And of course, this is exactly the one item point as the Flash Twist Advance coming on out.
Oh, will the Lux be able to make it out? Yes, she does have the flash, so she's out for now. Holds the exhaust. Caitlyn burns the heal. Irelia, meanwhile, was able to get first blood on Malphite in top lane, but it looks like Irelia will be cleaned up by the Volibear as she's flashless and just getting slowly run down by the bear. Malphite gets the assist, and what I'd actually like to point out about that is while Irelia got 400 gold from first blood, the net 450 was given to DGT, as they got a kill on the Volibear and an assist on the Malphite, whereas no one was able to assist on the...
that's a good binding.
It's a good binding.
But...
And Lux dies under turret. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a level 4 Lux under turret with like 200 health. Like, of course that Maokai is just gonna point and click to advance on you. You aren't getting out of that one, I'm sorry, Ombre. Either way, though, giving over that free kill when you're having such an established dominance in that bottom lane, very unfortunate.
Now we're actually seeing Ashe with a slight CS advantage on the Caitlyn. Neither of them have recalled yet. Ashe looks like she's going to now. Veigar does look like he's holding his own pretty well in the mid lane, but I don't think Echo's gotten to recall in a little bit. Malphite picking up the Bramble Vest first back versus Aurelia's Vampire Scepter and Longsword. I think with the Bramble Vest, Malphite's actually perfectly happy with this trade, and that kill gold on the Volibear will help him even more to harass the Graves and potentially put the Echo ahead as well. Though Veigar is currently ahead of Echo, and that's a little unfortunate. You'd obviously want to see the Echo taking the early lead in this lane. Graves is going for the Dragon already. It's pretty risky considering he doesn't have footwork, so he doesn't really have a way of healing himself. He can't solo this. His team's coming in. Are they going to take the aggro? They're not. Or they are, sorry. Will we get a contested from the other... Wait, is it one more Dragon?
Here.
Wait. Oh, no! No, no! No, that's a disaster! Oh, dear. Okay, so Squidoosh tanked that Dragon for far longer than he anticipated. The rotation was really slow, and they got caught by DGT. Meaning that Squidoosh couldn't survive long enough to actually smite the Dragon. I don't think Dizzy's smite was up either because he didn't use it, but the Dragon still went the way of DGT. So it doesn't really matter that he didn't have smite when the entirety of the plumbing code died while trying to take the objective. And that is quite the unfortunate occurrence for the plumbers. Both top laners had teleport, neither one used it. So that was just a 4v4 that went the way of DGT.
God, like, that was just so tragic. Like, imagine if 15 Titanics happened simultaneously. This is about the same level as that. As the Cultic does have the level 6, so look for that big old ulti. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for that due to there being a tower in his way, but never mind that. We have more action across the rift.
Not only that, but Malphite still has the ultimate up, so he could have escaped. But it looks like Echo's going to run down Graves, and speaking of running down, Veigar's trying desperately to get away from the Volibear. There will not be a dive, as both the ultimates on the Volibear and the Echo have already been spent. But Veigar now has to be very careful. Veigar still has his flash up. Well, and Volibear is getting his up very, very shortly here. Which means... Oh, I see. Veigar's flash was up first because of Cosmic Insight. I was wondering about that, because they did flash at the same time before, but Cosmic Insight gives Veigar the flash up just a little bit sooner. But Veigar and Volibear's flashes are both off the cooldown now. Veigar's just trying to farm it out. Echo is looking for... No, he's just going to push the lane out and reset. As we now see DGT taking a lead across all of their lanes, except top.
And that's a good bind, but you have to keep in mind with how low health Hyami is below this tower. Best plunger, a little bit chipped too. This could be very dangerous very quickly, especially with that Ashe ulti up. We'll have to see what happens here.
The Crystal Arrow lands. We could see a flash into the queue, but it looks like he's going to get CC'd a little too much. Echo coming down as well. Does he have the ultimate? He doesn't. He might die here. He's dead. What? I don't like the way that he played that, but I suppose it's positive for DGT, so I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that.
I pretend I do not see, as the TSM fans said at Worlds. Either way, though, it is still a 1-for-1. However, you are giving over that shutdown that was on Wilderness's head. You have to keep in mind also this means that Clogged Toilet, he's just getting a little bit of a free CS lead in this mid lane. Help him catch up on this Veigar, help him stack up on this Veigar, and that can be very scary since he can look to burst Unknown and Wilderness here, but here's the gank in the top lane. There is a missed...
He wanted to use it to escape, and it looks like he's out.
That was a very short stun. One of the shorter ones I've ever seen, because usually the Irelias, when they drop the Twin Dance, never mind that, Dizzy is gonna find out this Graves here. There's the stun.
The smoke screen comes down, doesn't really do a whole lot. Volibear still has the ult up, gonna stomp on Graves. Irelia comes down to help, it's no use. The support's up there as well. The 3v2 means that both the kills go down. Ashe is holding turret by herself as... Wait, no, the Malphite coming in. Malphite has Unstoppable Force. She's gonna look for the Caitlyn. Hits the Caitlyn. Ashe burns the heal. I don't think that was quite worth using the heal for. I think he was gonna get her anyways. But That's fine. They got the kill off of it. Caitlyn sure is dead, and they get a Herald off of this as Echo pushes in the mid lane further. But none of this pressure is going on to the Veigar. They're doing a lot. They're shutting down everyone on the Plumbers except for that scaling pick in the mid lane. And it makes me a little nervous for DGT that if they don't properly deal with this Veigar, he's just going to farm up and become a menace. But we'll see if they can transfer the lead they have into suppressing him out of his farming that he wants to be doing. Though it looks like currently the person that they're looking to suppress is the top laners. They have 4 here for this Aurelia. Aurelia trying desperately to clear the wave with the Maokai that's coming through. The Rift Herald gets dropped as well. Kind of a weird time to drop it while you're trying to run towards Aurelia and your under turret is shooting at you, but, you know, I guess it happened. Graves was able to get the grub, but at what cost? Ulted by the Ashe, taken down in a 1v1 by the carry. That's unfortunate. Graves is now a lower level than the ADC of DGT.
And Chad has been pointing it out, and I'm going to point it out here, but Graves has just cursed this series. Like,
after game 1, yeah.
He's such a powerful pick. Like, there's a reason why he's highly prioritized, but this series looking like an absolute chump tier pick. Either way, though, it could just be that both teams know how to very well work around Graves, so who knows? Either way, though, this is looking like we are going to be hitting that Game 5 situation here.
At the moment it is, but, you know, it's only 12 minutes into this game, so don't count your chickens before they hatch. This is definitely something that the Plumbers could theoretically turn around, especially through that Veigar if they were to play around him. But it is definitely looking in the hands of DGT at the moment. This is less the Plumbers' game to win and more DGT's game to lose should this game somehow turn around.
And this is definitely a very interesting situation as a lot of plates kind of being taken here.
Yeah, Malphite's on the bot side, so Aurelia's free pushing, but it looks like they're just going to trade the plates for the dragon, which, understandable trade. The plates aren't dropping for another minute 30, so I don't think Aurelia's going to be able to get the turret before Malphite gets back to the lane. That scared me, but it looks like DGT is going to secure the dragon. First 2 go to them, and it is a Cloud Soul this game, because obviously this Veigar just... Oh, wow. Oh my god, that was brutal. That was a public execution of a gank. Oh no. The Echo's going on to the Aurelia, catches her out, lands the stun, dodges the stun of her own. These Aurelia stuns are just not landing as consistently as they need to. Echo still has the ultimate up. I don't think he'll need to use it. As he just ease over, he can casually walk up. That auto looked a little suspicious. Didn't look like he was quite in range even when he started it, but, you know, the auto went through, and the passive went through. The arrow goes wide, but it looks like DGT might look for the dive anyways. The Volibear ult could shut out the turret should they want to dive. The turret's gone. Dive's coming through.
This is a very clean-cut dive that's already 1 member down. Might be a 1-for-1, never mind. Make that a 2-for-1 as we look in the top lane. Wilderness and Sabar just going to be cyber-bullying out this Graves here, letting them know that Graves should not be picked if it happens to be the Don't Go Top Gaming versus the Plumbers Company series here. As Exalted Pick gonna drop the Vanguard's Edge. Let's see what magic he can make happen as he gets 1 shut down. Looking for 2.
Not able to get the second. The Bramble Vest shutting down the healing, and the Malphite he saps your attack speed, he reduces your damage. It's a whole lot of not fun if you're playing someone like Aurelia who wants to get all those autos off. The Graves 0-5. That is rough.
Yeah, I think he's legally classified as sandpaper at this point with how rough it's going. But hey, I can use him to maybe sand down my cassette tape recorder, since that does need to be sanded on the belt.
Looks like the only thing getting sanded down at the moment is the Plumber's turrets. So, as they look like they're getting pushed further in, their top turret is gone. First turret going the way of DGT, expectedly, I should say. And it looks like Maokai is coming back to the bot lane as Ashe pushes things out down there. Bit of a 2v2 towards the top side. Nothing's really happening. An Event Horizon was dropped. Nothing came of it. Veigar was given a blue buff to hopefully help him farm. 127 CS at 15 minutes. This Veigar is doing his best to scale. He's got the Swifties, which I find interesting, and he picked up the GLP first item. Not what you'd normally see on Veigar from my experience, but with the Glacial Augment, obviously, he's picking it up.
So the GLP, aka Pocket Sand, is actually very common on Veigar now since he does go for the Glacial Augment. Just having that range slow helps him so much with his pick potential, since if you slow them to hell and back as Veigar, it makes it very easy to land out of an Horizon Stun. It makes it very easy to just drop your full combo on them and make their health bar go hocus pocus, healthus deletus.
Yeah, you're entirely right there. Even like when you event Horizon someone as Veigar, you're not guaranteed to get the stun on them. There is typically enough room in the box to dodge stuff like the W. But if you just GLP someone and W them, they just kind of have to deal with it. You know, there's not a whole lot you can do in the face of the GLP. And the active item CDR on Ingenious Hunter, I don't know if a lot of people realize how strong Ingenious Hunter is as a rune. It gives about 40% active item CDR, and with Cosmic Insight giving another 5%, that is 45% active item CDR. That's almost half the cooldown gone. So that's a like minute cooldown Zhonya's, that is a like 20-second cooldown GLP, just about. It's really gross how low your cooldowns get when you have 5 stacks of Ingenious Hunter and Cosmic Insight.
Yeah, of course, it is definitely very hard competition it faces, especially Ravenous Hunter being such a prolific rune. Ultimate Hunter is definitely seeing a good bit, and then of course the out-of-combat move speed Hunter. I think Relentless Hunter is the one.
That one was nerfed a patch or two ago, so I don't think we'll see any Veigars taking it, especially because he's not really like a roaming champion, but...
Either way, though, definitely very hard competition. As there's a Rift Herald available for the side of DGT. They are taking this mid lane turret. They probably don't need it with all 4 of these members here. A lot of beef just between these 3 thick boys and this one little Echo.
Yeah, with Echo's W and his ultimate, he's actually, more durable than your average assassin, so... I dare say the only actual squishy on the side of DGT. Oh, we got the 3-man Unstoppable Force, followed up by the Malphite. Their carries aren't quite there yet. Echo running in as much as he can. Crystal Arrow goes wide. Caitlyn's getting run down by the Volibear. And even though he's low, it doesn't matter. She's just gonna run her down. Echo kills the Luxander turret. Caitlyn's able to get out, but it looks like Volibear actually ended that trade with Caitlyn, more health than he started it with. That's kind of depressing. Echo going in doesn't find anything. Still has the ultimate up, so there's not really much risk. Caitlyn trying to find an ultimate doesn't get anything, though. Once again, Echo's ultimate is up, so if he were in danger, he could just R. He doesn't have flash quite yet, though.
And I'm just going to be throwing this out there for the audience, since they are calling it the Canadian Echo Tech, but fun fact, Wilderness has procced a whopping 23 Halo Blades auto attacks so far this game on this Echo, so definitely getting some worth out of that rune, and maybe the Canadian Echo might be the new meta here, as it is going to be Soul Point coming on up here for Don't Go Top, and that is one hell of a prospect, because one thing that has been constant this series is whichever team gets that Dragon Soul basically wins the game.
You're entirely right there, and playing into Dragon Soul is always pretty difficult, and if you're behind enough to lose 4 Drakes in a row, like, you're probably behind enough to not pull anything, like when the enemy team gets even stronger. It's just a snowballing thing. If you can't stop them from getting the dragons in the first place, you're probably not going to be able to stop them once they have them. It just makes it worse. Though we do see that scaling Veigar, and a fun fact, Lux has done the most damage with Comet out of the 3 people in this game with Comet. Just a little bit of rune bonus trivia for the audience at home.
There's a lot of rune trivia to be had. Sadly, only so much time to be had as this game advancing at a bit of a lightning pace here. We do have the 420 scoreline going up top for anybody into the haha funny numbers. Either way, though, we do see the double active item completion here on a Clogged Toilet is going to have that double soul, which is going to be so potent for picks here, and it might be very nice here for his team to try and claw their way back into this game.
Indeed, and we're looking across the board here, looking at all the itemizations. We see the Sunfire Cape finished on the Malphite. I mean, between that and the Bramble Vest, that man's got a lot of armor. Looks like he's going into what I predict to be the Abyssal Mask as a second item, though, out of that Negatron cloak. Volibear has Cinderhulk and Trinity Force. Echo has the 10 stacks on the Mage Eyes, which is enough to give him the movement speed bonus from his Mage Eyes. Don't forget that. So between that, between his passive, his Mage Eyes, and his Aether Wisp, that's going into the Lich Bane, Echo is a fast boy.
Naruto!
Fast enough to get away from the enemies in his own jungle. Sorry, Graves. It may have been your half of the map at the start, but it's DGT's half now, as DGT is able to run down Graves, takes buff. Rift Herald doesn't get another charge off, but looks like Malphite and Ash are going to get a turret here in top lane anyhow.
There's the Unstoppable Force.
Through the Event Horizon, walls him off. He can CC. His follow-up isn't there. He does a lot of damage, but he's not ahead enough to 3v1 under turret. That was quite a greedy play from Malphite. I don't know if he saw how many enemies are there, or if he thought his team could get in faster. Either way, didn't quite go their way, and that is one kill in the hands of the full-service Plumbing Co.
And that is a nice kill to be picking up, because they do want to be getting some of those to come back on into this game. Either way, though, still definitely way down in the hole here, and it is going to be a hard time coming back, but all comebacks got to start with that one small step.
You're right, and the problem is that Lux got that kill into the Malphite, and this is the second time this game that it's happened, where Lux has got the shutdown gold on a kill, and while Lux isn't the worst support to get shutdown gold on, I feel like they'd want it on the Caitlyn, or especially the Veigar, maybe Graves or maybe not Graves, he's too far behind at this point, I'd say. Anyone except Lux really is good for a shutdown gold. I feel like you don't want that on your support, but she keeps seeming to get them, so that's a bit unfortunate for the Plumbers, but at least they're dead.
You know what? You'll take a kill over no kill.
Exactly.
Take the dubs as they come, but something that is coming pretty soon is this next dragon in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. We already do have that soul point here for the sides don't go top, and they are going to be eyeing this dragon up like it is that nice tasty snack.
Yep. Maokai spamming the dragon as far as with pings. You know that both teams are looking at this. Farmers would like their farmers.
True.
Farmers would like to prevent this soul from going in the way of DGT at any point in time. As we see both sides struggling to establish vision. Veigar has 2 full items. Echo has, you could say, 3 full items. Volibear with 2, Maokai with 1, and Malphite with 1. Aurelia has her Bork, and she's working towards a death stance, by the looks of things anyway. And it looks like DGT is clearing out the vision and making it just really hard for the, I almost called them the farmers again, for the Plumbers to approach this dragon.
Yeah, no surprises there. I mean, you want this to be as safe of a take as possible. One thing that the side of Dunkotop can do if they really want to, they can of course force the trade where you trade that single dragon for the Baron. Since they are this far ahead, it's okay giving over a singular Cloud Dragon to the enemy team when it means you get Baron and they're super far off soul. However, though, of course, if you are able to take that Dragon Soul for free, why not grab it, you know?
I feel like they could get the Dragon and the Baron. They're not in a position where they even need to trade right now. Like, maybe if the Plumbers had committed to the Baron and tried to rush it, they would have had to trade it, but Plumbers are too busy trying to wave clear, so just trying to defend their base at the moment. So it looks like DGT is going to be able to they're going to have their Dragon Soul and eat it too. They get Baron and the 4th Cloud Drake back to back. They're setting themselves up here for quite a lot, as that Soul is just going to make it even harder to kite them. It's going to make them engage tools on an even lower cooldown, and it's just Baron's just going to mean they can push in now.
Oh my god, this is
Great
a very tragic situation. Yeah, sadly, this Graves Force Squadouche having a little bit of connectivity issues, but able to sort itself out, I think partially due to the fact that we have buffered stream a little bit here, so we have a bit of wiggle room. Either way, though, the current state of the game not looking too hot if you are on the side of the Plumbers Company. Of course, you are the ones up 2-1 in this best of 5, so you can go to that game 5, but giving your enemy team that momentum going into that game number 5, not the best of prospects.
Yeah, and it does look like the plumbers got baited into the trap. They had the very same trap they had been using on DGT for the last few games. DGT kept picking the Graves, why do I keep saying that? Plumbers kept destroying the Graves. They found their way to counter it, and DGT picked Graves again, didn't work again, and then the plumbers picked the Graves, and it doesn't work again. And I feel like maybe that pick should just be left out of this series, as it feels like both teams have really Graves is being left out of the world of the living for the time being. So it feels like both teams have an answer to this pick, and the counterplay for it seems to be more developed for these two squads than the ability to play it. So maybe just sideline him for future games.
Maybe. Who knows? But it is looking like we are going to have a real potential of the Silver Scrapes here, as there's the flash, there's the stun.
We are seeing just another slaughter of an engage from DGT as they just land everything. They tear the plumbers apart, and this is game. I'm 90% sure. That's just the Volibear, the Vash, the Echo. They're all so far ahead. That 12-2 Echo just completely rolled over the Vaegir, and it looks like, oh my god, he's threatening her in her fountain. That is sad. Looks like the rest of DGT is just focusing on the Nexus, not trying to pad their KDAs like Wilderness, and this should be the end of this match, and it looks like we will be taking it to a Game 5.
Oh man, and that is one hell of a comeback here for Don't Go Top Gaming, because these past two games, they've been looking down and in the ruts, but able to bring it back very strong here. Maybe Graves was the answer. Maybe it is the Canadian Tech Echo. It was confirmed by a producer, Joe, on stream, that Echo is indeed his Canadian neighbor. So this is a very northern build coming out, and a very successful build, ending 12-2-4 in this Echo. Most kills in the game, and almost half of the kills on his team. That is one hell of a prospect here.
I agree with what chat's saying. I really am curious to see who wins when no one picks Graves, because, God, I hope no one picks Graves in this next game. It seems like it's just kind of a trap at the moment. The Vaegir damage was the highest on his team, but he was still dwarfed by even the Malphite on the enemy team. It just looks like they were just sort of rolled over by the absolute engage comp that DGT picked and ran them down with. But I suppose we'll deal with that when we come back for Game 5.
That is true, yeah, as this is shaping up to be a very exciting series. Of course, though, something did happen off stream. The other finalists going into the finals will be Rising Phoenix, so we do already know who the opponent of whichever team comes out on top of this next game is. However, though, please don't go anywhere, our beautiful, faithful viewers, as we will be back soon with this all-important and pivotal game number 5 in this semifinal series.
Welcome back to Match Point Game 5 of the Full Service Plumbers Co. versus Don't Go Top, and our semifinals, where the winner will be going on to face... What was our other finalist?
Rising Phoenix.
Rising Phoenix, thank you. And as we are starting things off with another Senna ban, we have not gotten to see that champion go through a single time this entire series. So getting into bans for the 5th game.
Yeah, as I'm not going to be too surprised if we see a lot of familiar faces here on the pick and ban roster, the shooting gallery, the most wanted list. Either way, though, we are going through them at a mildly rapid pace, and Senna, Swain, Vladimir, Zach, no real surprises there.
A lot of the same bans. Hecarim again. And we'll see if we see anything different on the very last ban of Tier 1, or if we're going to run it back the same kind of way we have been for the last 4 games. Let's see how things shake out with our bans.
What's crack-a-lackin', my dude, says the Hecarim picking off the board. No real surprises there. We want to see the real ban face out of here. We are going to be seeing that Misfortune taken off the table here that we have been seeing all series. Never mind, we are going to be getting that lovely red square, and it is actually the MF. It is just ProDraft's version of MF. A very weird interpretation.
It's a zoom in on her hair. Renekton first picked for FSPC, and while he is one of the better blind picks in top lane, it is a little better than any blind pick to get the counter pick in top lane right now. So I find it interesting that they decided to blind the Renekton. I'm curious to see what DGT will pick into him. I'd say Ornn, but he's disabled, so we'll see what's left. DGT picking Ashe for the 4th time and last time this series, as it looks like FSPC goes for the Lux, and there's the Malzahar again.
That does mean, though, that the Caitlyn can be banned here in this second banning phase. If DGT so decide to have it happen, they do have that double ban. They can take off the Caitlyn Jhin if they really want to, and really pinch that 80 carry pull and force the Plumbers Company here maybe a slightly less comfortable than usual pick. There are definitely other somewhat meta 80 carries you can't pick. I mean, we have been seeing Kai'Sa, we have been seeing some limited Ezreal, but those are typically a little bit more of counter picks, and in the case of Ezreal, just long time comfort picks. Either way, though, we are now in this second pick and ban phase. The Maokai once again locked in here for DGT.
I would actually like to... I'm not a fan of the Malzahar blind pick. The Renekton and Malzahar, like I said for the solo lane, they're good blind picks, but solo lanes tend to prefer having their counter picks rather than their blind picks, as DGT is setting up, picking their bot and their jungle, as most teams are wont to do in this situation. So the blind Malzahar, the blind Renekton, I don't know how I feel about those, but it looks like Mordekaiser's banned, and I don't think FSPC will be banning Zoe this time, because they've shown they're comfortable playing Malzahar into the Zoe before, so looks like they're leaving that up. They did not ban the Caitlyn, they banned the Vayne. But to be fair, they did win lane as Maokai Ashe into Caitlyn Lux last time. So maybe they're just fine playing into it again. Though I feel like FSPC has better picks here than the Caitlyn. I think some Ashe counters, something like the Kog'Maw, maybe the Tristana. As far as I recall, they're statistically very good into Ashe, so those might be good champions to pick here.
Yeah, we will have to see. I do fully expect the Caitlyn to come out since it did get through. It is a comfort pick as Silas is locked in. There are a hell of a lot of juicy ultimates to steal, and especially since you know that it is that Malzahar mid, you do know what you're going into. Of course, though, Silas might have a little bit of a odd situation going to the Malzahar early game, since Malzahar can just out un-interact with you due to his base wave clear.
Okay, we see the Nunu and Willow picked this time. Unlike the last time we saw him, I think this is for real. So, it looks like we are seeing the Nunu jungle into the Volibear. I think the Volibear will still be able to beat Nunu in the 1v1, but as Nunu, you're not really trying to 1v1 the enemy jungler, so that's not particularly relevant. As Nunu, he looks to group, he looks to gank, he likes to control the objectives, maybe counter jungle a little if he gets the opportunity, so... Volibear being able to beat up Nunu in a 1v1 isn't really a problem for him. And thank God there is no Graves this series. Wait a minute. They did it. They finally flexed the Maokai. They baited us all. Just when we thought it was Ashe Maokai part 4? Part 4, right? This would be the
Part
fourth one.
4? Yeah.
We thought it was Ash Maokai Part 4. It's actually Ash Thresh. And I do like the Thresh here. He can, in fact, he's okay into poke lanes. You know, he can shield a little bit, and he's tanky enough to deal with it. But if he catches Lux or Caitlyn with the hook, he is going to kill them. And he can interrupt the Malzahar ultimate. He has plentiful CC for that. And he's pretty good at peeling off the Renekton and the Nunu. The hook and the flake can both stop the snowball.
So, sorry, don't mean to interrupt you. Thresh is set.
Damn it!
Yeah, it is the caster curse. You think you know everything, and then something comes your way. Thankfully, our producers are only cursed by OBS and not random mishaps of the client. So
I can't wait for chat to make fun of me.
that is true. I am down to cyberbullying my fellow co-caster with the chat out there if they so want to. Either way, though, it is going to be the set once again in that top lane. Started in that game number 3, didn't exactly have the best of times because it fell behind early on, but it was one of the better performing champions on the side of DGT when they were behind. So maybe this time around, now that they have the momentum from that game number 4, maybe it'll go a little bit better.
You're right, and I would like to see what they do with the set into the Renekton, because I haven't really thought of that as a good lane for the set. I feel like the Renekton does win that lane, but set can easily survive that lane. It's not one-sided enough to where he just sort of dies over and over, and if set makes it through the laning phase, maybe they're just trying to do something with him after that. Like, they might be just picking set for his team fight potential. So, I like to see what he does there.
Oh, Lord, I don't know why I'm sneezing so much this series, but hey, maybe I'm allergic to, I don't know, funny punchline. Joe, what's a good thing I can say about you that's kind of funny? Waiting to hear from our producer. Nothing I am hearing, so it turns out I'm allergic to nothing, according to our producer. He does know all, as he is the wise Joe. He is the admin and head of Joduction here, at Risen for a reason. Either way, but getting back to this pick and ban here, it does look like it is going to be that set top lane with the Volibear jungle, so no little flexing shenanigans there between the set and Volibear, it seems.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. And technically, the set could have also gone support with the Maokai jungle, and that could have also been a thing with the Malphite. So these last 2 games, DGT has actually had 3 possible supports, but yeah, we're not going to get anything different from what we've been seeing. Looks like it's just going to be Ash Maokai again.
Yeah, but I mean, they do definitely love that. And there's a reason we have been seeing the side of DGT pick that over and over and over and over again this series. And I think we only didn't see it in one game because the Maokai was banned.
Yeah, that did in fact happen in the one game, and I'm wondering why they haven't consistently banned the Maokai, because DGT, or ban the Ashe, I'd say, because Ashe is the second best AD, or best or second best, depending on your preference between her and Caitlyn, ADC in the meta right now, and they've just let them have it every single game so far, except for the one time they banned it with the Jhin. And I feel like banning the Ashe out more consistently might be a good idea for FSPC.
Who knows? I mean, this is Game 5, so whatever whatever ideas you have for what should have happened or what might happen later on isn't really going to apply here, because one of these teams is going to be Duns and the other is going to be facing Rising Phoenix in the finals next week. So this is do or die right now, Justice.
It sure is, and there's probably going to be a whole lot of dying with the Engage comp that DGT has picked again. This is quite similar to their last comp. The set isn't quite the Engage machine that Malphite is. I feel like he's still good enough to where he does a lot more than Malphite after he engages. He's not so one and done, even though his one isn't quite as good.
Yeah, but that is something we are going to have to see once we get into game. But with that being said, though, don't go anywhere, because we are going to be doing a little bit of prep work behind the scenes here for this all pivotal game number 5. But don't go anywhere, our lovely viewers, because whoever wins this game will be going on to the finals to face Rising Phoenix here in the Risen Rampage Premade League. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final match of our full service company, full service plumbing co versus Don't Go Tom.
Yeah, we are in this all pivotal game number 5. So let's see what the hell happens on the Rift here, because we're already off to a little bit of a spicy start. A single auto coming out from Exalted Pig, just mad chunking the enemy jungler.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out.
Go ahead.
Sorry. The Silas's footwork, which I find kind of interesting. I've seen that a few times, and I personally prefer Conquer if you want a healing rune, but footwork on Silas, it definitely is a thing. Probably will help him survive the poke from the Malzahar, help him get through the early game a little better. Though.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was a you can go.
Okay, so Fleet is actually now meta on Silas. I know a lot of people still think of Silas as the W max Conqueror build. However, now most Silas-I, because Cacti, so Silas-I. Either way, though, most Silas-I are going for the Fleet of Footwork with the Q max actually. So it's to help you just max out that wave clear, get through laning phase, let you scale on up, because Silas is definitely a fairly good scaling threat. He needs levels to get some of those base stats up for his resist. He needs to get some items in to boost those AP ratios of his, and Fleet of Footwork just helps you with that.
Understandable. I think, you are sacrificing some damage by taking it, but Silas does plenty of damage without any assistance from a rune, so it's not too big of a deal for him. Set taking a little bit of heat from the Renekton when he tries to walk him for some CS, but Set's passive should keep him relatively healthy in lane for the time being, plus the healing off D-Shield. Man, that Renekton hurts. Every time he goes up for farm, he's just gonna get stung. But looking at the mid lane and bot lane, everything's normal. Ashe already with a bit of a CS lead on the Caitlyn, but nothing too ridiculous.
Yeah, and still very early on in the game, nothing too much coming out. Although Dizzy, level 3, looking for a gank in this mid lane. It is 2 versus 1 Clock Toilet, having a flash on out, but there's the flash from the Volibear.
Oh, see, Silence wasn't level 3, and therefore didn't have his E to follow up on the gank. I think... Oh, wait, no, he has his E, he just doesn't have his W. Well, his W is responsible for most of his damage. I think that gank probably could have waited until Silas was level 3. That might have gone better. Or just don't have Volibear flash in, just call the gank off after the Malzahar flash. They didn't get as much out of that as they could have, but it was still a positive trade for DGT.
Yeah, I definitely agree with maybe little Dizzy shouldn't have expended the flash after Clogged Toilet had flashed on the Malzahar, because you can't always come back on this Volibear, but Exalted Pig, he's caught behind enemy lines. This is slice and dice. He's gonna have to flash on out.
The entire team is here, but they're all low. Malzahar's still low from the first engage. Or no, Malzahar's not low. He has since healed back up. But Nunu is low. Renekton's dead. Nunu's getting chased. Oh, the Maokai roaming up. I didn't even see that. Sneaky Maokai catching the Nunu and costing him his flash, getting out of there. Nunu opting for the phase rush, which has become the meta rune in that champion. I personally don't agree with it, but I see its merit. So I see why some people would like it more than Aftershock.
Yeah, Phase Rush in general is just kind of a really busted rune right now, because it lets you get off your combo, and then you have the option of just dipping on out saying, "I peace I'm out," or you just have all that bonus move speed and the slow resist to just keep on whoever the hell it is you were already on top of. It is a very flexible rune. It did definitely get a little bit overbuffed by Riot, at least in my opinion. But we are starting to see why it is so potent in a lot of the meta picks right now, especially in the mid lane, especially in the jungle. And we are even seeing it on some supports too that don't typically take it. Like, we've been seeing Alistar take Phase Rush over Aftershock, which is just such a interesting thing since everybody associates Alistar with that Aftershock. But hey, yeah. You see the...
I would still argue that Phase Rush isn't better, is a little weaker than the Aftershock on the Alistar. It leaves you pretty squishy without your ultimate if you're lacking Aftershock, but that's just me. And Alistar's not in this game, so it doesn't really matter either way. Oh, Nunu was able to smite away that battle, and Set's just getting slowed. If only he had the slow resist from Phase Rush. Set's able to get out of that one before any real harm comes his way, and he's just going to reset for the time being. Volibear is pretty low on mana, but with the mana regeneration from... That's not the right button. with the mana regeneration from Talisman, he doesn't have a Talisman. He has a Machete. So Volibear will probably have to back soon, as he doesn't have any way of getting his mana back, and I imagine he'll be able to get a pretty decent back, because he was able to get a kill, and he has about 30 CS currently.
Yep, let's see what he's able to get. Is sitting on that. But other than that, though, other than that one singular first blood, it has been fairly calm here on the Rift, which is a little bit interesting. We typically have been associating the series with a decent amount of early action. Of course, this was also kind of what happened last game, too, in that game number 4 as well. Oh, Wilderness gonna miss that up sun.
Wilderness doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of damage, at least not without the second proc of his E. It's one of the reasons I'm not entirely sold on Fleet Footwork on Sylas. He does feel like he lacks damage a little bit, but oh, Volibear just barely surviving his own Raptors. Look at that health. He is currently sitting at 30 HP, and that's after he regened a little bit. Oh man, that was quite the close call for Volibear. Looking down bot lane, not much is going on. They're just trying to get some blue side trying to get some vision up on the dragon, though they know nothing's going on there. No wards for the bot lane of the Plumbing Co, which I find a little interesting. I wonder, can we see their trinket cooldown in the observer?
Yes, you can see it on the right part. Neither of them have it up right now.
Unfortunate. So yeah.
Oh wait, no, we got one charge up for unknown, so he can plop it if he so pleases.
All right. Well, yeah, but otherwise, no vision on the dragon from the Plumbers as DGT starts the dragon, and Squidouche is none the wiser. He just takes his red buff like everything's all business as usual, and he's walking to mid lane, but unbeknownst to him, there goes the first dragon.
And that is going to be the Earth Dragon. When you have this tanky of a lineup between the set, between the Volibear, between the Maokai, and hell, even the Sylas at later stages of the game, they will be appreciating this singular Earth Dragon and will give them that nice little boost, as that is a free objective pickup. And there has been a trend this series, Justice, of whoever is able to get those first few dragons is able to secure the soul, and whoever secures the soul secures the game.
You're right. Every game so far has been a 4-0 in Dragon.
There's a solo kill almost coming out the area, almost finishing off that kill. Wilderness forced to flash on out of that tricky situation.
But now the Malzahar lacks his ultimate, so Wilderness could theoretically come back into the lane.
Into the top lane.
That's ultimate, actually saving him from that gank as he used it to get back to his turret, safely disengaging himself. So getting out without expending the flash, good for the set. The Malzahar is now lacking his ultimate, meaning he could just go in and probably clean up using his own ultimate. Should he steal Malzahar's ultimate from him? I don't think he's done that already, so I think it's off cooldown. Set going for the W, hitting the physical damage part of it. And Set, with his passive, with the D-Shield, with the Vamp Scepter, he will passively regenerate quite a bit just while sitting in lane, just, farming off of the lifesteal and the regeneration that his items and passive provide. So that's good for the Set. Even if he takes damage, he can bounce back.
Yeah, for sure. As there is a Volibear here for little TC hovering around in his bot lane for Dunko Top Gaming, and we might see a dive here. Wilderness does not have the teleport. It's kind of walking on down there.
Volibear has the ultimate, which means he could shut off the turret should they choose to dive.
Wilderness does have the Malzahar ulti here. Look for that. No. Alright, a lot of excitement for nothing, as that gank in the bot lane does not pan out either.
The Wilderness can hold on to that ult. The real Malzahar's ultimate is about 60 to almost 75% of the way back up, so we might be seeing the real... By the time Wilderness looks to use that Mal's ult, the real Mal's might also have his ultimate, so looking at that. Set dive getting going on the top lane. 1-1 out of it. But as I said, when it happened to do with the Malphite and Aurelia situation, the Plumbers are able to get 450 gold out of that situation, whereas DGT only secures 300. So if you get a kill and assist, it is actually more net gold for your team than just getting a kill. So it's something to keep in mind, but they did devote 2 to top and they only went even. Renekton isn't here to farm, so the advantage isn't as big for him as it could.
Yeah, and I'll have to see how it pans out here, because ultimately speaking, both top laners fairly close when it comes to animation. Of course, this Mal.
Getting ulted by Mal's, getting out of it. Oh wait.
And you ultimate coming out, actually, Wilderness gonna come out a little bit worse for wear on this.
Canceled his ultimate. Because I saw a Malzalt come in and last about half a second, and then I saw another Malzalt later and last longer. I think he canceled his ult, which is unfortunate for him, as he might have been able to get more out of that.
Yeah, it could have also been that a clogged toilet did drop the silence on down.
Yeah, you're right.
That is the potential too.
Canceled it. Malzahar is a counter to Malzahar. I never would have thought.
Yeah, of course, it is a little bit hard to call since it is hard to see everything in the heat of the moment. Either way, though, in the end, it is a barely even lane. But actually, no, that is a dead even trade in the mid lane. Okay, I thought a clogged toilet would be able to spend this extra wave to get a slightly more favorable recall, but never mind that. There's the ulti in the top lane.
The settle takes Renekton back. Maokai Q tracks him all the way there. That is the power of point and click abilities. He's going to you one way or another. Follows the settle through, and that's a dead crocodile. We're hunting endangered species in top lane.
Leopard purse, as we like to say. And the Biz, either way, though, Little Dizzy sitting on the side here does have that ultimate. There's the flash. Look for the Stormbringer.
CC for so long, can't even finish her ult. Caitlyn tries to get some damage back in, doesn't matter. Nunu's coming in, but it's too late. Set's pushing top lane by himself. Maokai walking through them around mid lane? Not walking back up towards top. Doesn't know he's standing on a ward, unfortunately. So Malzahar will avoid getting jumped on by the Maokai as he's able to spot him out. Using the sweeper just a little too late to see that ward up in the top push.
Yeah, and still, that was a very nice pick up there in the bot lane. You would have technically wished the kill went to Unknown there in the Ashe, but a second kill going over to the Volibear, not the worst thing, since he is able to snowball off of it. We see him going towards that Triforce, it looks like, unless he wants to throw some Gauntlet, which is technically a possibility. The AoE slow field, always nice to have. Granted, you almost never see the Iceborne Gauntlet nowadays really outside the Ezreal. You can proc it with that Q, but let's forget about ice. Let's talk about fire here, Justice, as that Infernal Dragon now on the Rift here. It is the second dragon of the game. We do know that it will either be the Cloud or Ocean Soul this game, and both these teams itching for a fight.
The Ocean Soul on DGT would be disastrous for the Plumbers. Look at the lineup of DGT. We pointed out how tanky they were earlier, but if you give them a Mountain Dragon and some Ocean Dragons for the Soul, they will just be so hard to kill. The healing on the Volibear, the Sylas, the Maokai, just the tankiness of the set, it is just really difficult to kill any one of their team except Ashe through an Ocean Soul. But this is the first game in our series where both teams have a dragon.
And this is definitely going to be a first, but there's the ultimate in the mid lane. There's another ultimate coming out in the mid lane, but Loudiness going to drop there. Little Dizzy coming in hot as the tree with the twisted advance coming in. It's douche, get on out. This cannot.
Volibear cannot catch up quite. He had the ultimate if he wanted to use it, but it looks like he didn't. Maokai was able to get the CC, but he wasn't really able to do much himself. If Volibear was a little closer, I think they would have been able to get a return kill, but unfortunately he wasn't. Crystal Arrow is still up for Ashe in the bot lane. Looks like Plumber's doing what they can to shrink the gold lead that DGT had on them by just a bit. It's still quite a small gold lead, just a little bit. The snowball coming through. Does Set have the ultimate? He does. He's able to ult the Renekton towards his turret. Is he going to pull him in? He's got the W up.
So damn close in that top lane. The Haymaker almost equalizing that trade in the top lane, but Little Dizzy might be itching for a fight here. Keep in mind, though, he is 2 levels down on this Nunu, surprisingly. Just that massive CS gap really adding up here between these two junglers, and it might be a point of contention for this Rift Child if that we do see a fight around it. But never mind that, as we do focus on the bot lane here, thanks to our based in favorite directive cam. If anyone wants to know how, never mind that, there's the stun, there's the kill coming out for Unknown. That is a very easy peasy kill, but here's a Malzahar. Doesn't have the ulti though. There's a teleport coming out from what I assume is Savar. Yes, it is. There's another teleport. There's another teleport. There's a Boogaloo in the bot lane, Justice.
Oh, one of the teleports seems to have been canceled. Nunu canceling Silas's TP in the mid lane. Silas looks like he's beating up Nunu in revenge. Actually, he's hitting the Yeti. You know, Silas, Willump didn't do anything to you. It was that little kid who canceled your recall. Just kick the kid off of Willump's back, and suddenly your fight gets a whole lot easier. Divide and conquer, Silas. But we do see Nunu snowballing down the mid lane, looking to catch the Sylas, but with Renekton and Malzahar here's back up, Malzahar's ultimate's almost up. It will be up for the next fight. Luckily, luckily for DGT, nothing coming of the attempted engage from Plumbers. Though Renekton dashing away to get himself to safety, and their vision being cleared out a little bit. See, DGT has control of the area for this Herald. The problem is that is a Nunu with a 2-level advantage. That Q Smite is so much damage more than what Volibear can put out right now. Like, I think at level, he should have a max rank Q right now. I will just be sure. Yeah, he has a max rank Q right now, and that is 1,000 true damage. Plus the Smite, which currently does almost about 700 true damage. So that is 1,700 true damage versus Volibear's roughly, I think it's about 600. I will check to be sure. Volibear's 600 true damage, yes, exactly. So the problem is that he is 1,100 true damage behind Nunu when it comes to objective confirmation, so it's really hard for him to coin flip objectives right now. Granted, they got the Rift Herald, but in general.
In general, indeed, you kind of need that form of leadership. Either way, though, things have been calming down on the Rift here. For the most part, never mind that. There's the Caster Curse, there's the solo kill, the Cog Toilet. Really putting in work on this Malzahar mid, which is kind of surprising because we expect that Silas to start being able to outscale that Malzahar, but maybe we are going to have to wait a little bit longer. But there's the Snowball in the bot lane. Unknown, you're going to have to drop the stun. You still get knocked up. There's the ulti. Well, let's see where the damage is. This should be an easy peasy Dunzo Manifesto tier kill. Yeah, toying with the food like they're a bunch of piranhas.
Unknown dropped the Crystal Arrow just a bit too late. If he had fired it earlier, the Snowball would have despawned before hitting him. He stunned Nunu close enough to himself to where the Snowball was still in range of hitting him, which set him up for the Ashe ult and the Lux ult and the Caitlyn trap, unfortunately. So, Plumber's playing this pretty well so far after the small early game deficit they found themselves in, but DGT is able to take the first turret. The Renekton ult comes through, might change the tides to the 1v1, but nope, the set ult flashes the set W, not enough. The second proc of the Q does too much damage. Volibear ults in on the Nunu and the Malzahar. Malzahar gets stunned up, no passive and nowhere to go. Ran down as Nunu tries his best to escape, but he's just running into a set. There's nowhere to go, Nunu. The Silas flashes, but there was no need for that. Man, he's already dead. The turrets were evened up at some point. The bot lane turret of DGT did fall, but looks like DGT has widened the gap a little bit and picked up a bunch of kills for themselves as they look to get some more turrets and open the gap again.
Yep, and keep in mind we do have less than 10 seconds till this next Cloud track into the Rift. Both these teams gonna be eyeing that on up like it is a triple course deluxe meal, or like the potential at winning 5,000 Travi bucks from a bet here in the Risen channel. Both of those equally appetizing, but one of those is a little bit more nutritious. That's right, that is the Travi bucks. We are Risen Sims here after all, as that is going to be a very easy Cloud Dragon picked up here by Don't Go Top.
And that does set DGT in quite an advantageous position as the Rift Herald down mid. The Rift Herald they secured earlier allowed them to open up mid, which lets them ward up the red side to their heart's content, really secure vision around this dragon. So, while Plumbers have been able to equalize the vision since then, at the time it was pretty one-sided when it came to like the wards in the area, so the dragon was dark for them when it died. We'll see if DGT is able to keep up their vision control in 5 minutes when we see our next Drake, but we got plenty of things to focus on until then.
Yeah, plenty of things to focus on. We call this the ADHD dilemma. I can speak from experience, but there are a lot of things to focus on. You tend to get distracted, but Unknown, you have to be careful. There's the flash, there's the bind, there's the Nunu, there's the kill. Did we expect it to go any other way, Justice?
No, I expected Ashe to buy QSS at some point, but looks like that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, typically you don't see the QSS come out on that first item, sadly. It's a bit of a dilemma as an AD carry. Like, you know you want that QSS, and you know you want it early, but the question is always how early.
Well, she has a Zeal that she's just purchased instead of that is the same price as a QSS, so now I can officially say I don't like the itemization.
This is fine, actually, so as an AD carry main myself, it is a very delicate balance, and it does always depend on the situation in games. But I think realistically speaking, a Clogged Toilet, he isn't going to be constantly flash ulting you as this Ashe. You do have basically 4 other frontliners force in front of you. So realistically speaking, in a team fight, most of the times, he's probably going to have to end up ulting either Wild News or maybe Savar. So you can, if you want, never mind that, a little bit of a fight breaking. Okay, I can go back to my QSS dilemma. Of course I can. Okay. There's a lot of stuff happening on the map. Either way, though, usually, as an AD carry main myself, I prefer to either get it after I finish my Zeal item, or I will get the crit item, and then the Zeal item, and then the QSS. As we have a fight breaking out, there's the bind, there's the absolute zero, doing absolutely zero damage to put in play-by-play honey terms, but there is a teleport on the backline that Jet Crystal are gonna do dictatively do, as let's see if Unknown can get out. There is a ball rolling.
With the Dead Man's Plate, the Nunu is running, but it looks like he's not going to be finding anything as the Plumbers look to disengage. Ash used her heal in that engagement, and Set used his teleport, but otherwise, I'd say DGT got out of that on the winning end as Malzahar committed his teleport, and so did Renekton, so that's 2 very long TP cooldowns. Silas still has his.
Whew. And that was one hell of a doozy there, as
Silas just walks up and punches the turret.
It could have gone very, very south there. However, no one dying on either team. Very surprising as Wilderness. He is going to find this Malzahar here. There is the blah. Let's see if there's the counter blah. As there's the sun. There's the abduct. There's the counter blah. And it is
again, but it doesn't matter.
As there is the solo kill coming out for the Silas. He is starting to hit his stride. He is starting to scale, and that's a scary prospect.
It sure is, and I find it funny that he used the Malzahar ult for about a split second before Malzahar canceled it, and he still dumpstered him. So it's pretty amusing. This Silas has gotten pretty scary, and if I was Malzahar, I'd be wondering, hey, wasn't I bullying this guy pretty badly? What happened? Why am I losing now? But it's just the nature of scaling champions. But speaking of scaling champions, this Renekton, 1-4-1. The early game man didn't get his early game, and it looks like now he's going to be falling off, and he never even had his time to shine. So a little bit of a shame that Renekton blind pick doesn't seem to be working out for them. And it looks like the Set counter pick from the side of DGT was a smart idea, as this Set has been playing quite well into the Renekton, outplaying him quite consistently.
Yeah, and that does bode well, since, I mean, the Renekton is known for falling off as the game goes on. The Set is still able to hold his own in the game. Definitely not a hyper-scaling top laner solo 1v9 carry by any means, but he's able to pull his weight, and in the end, is that not what you want? But if what you want is what you really, really want, then this Cloud Dragon is what you want, as there is the Malzahar ulti, there's another bind, there is just a burst, there's a flash stun, there is the Volibear ultimate coming down, that's a big chomp.
Ash was almost free hitting that team fight, but then she got jumped on by the Renekton, and we were underselling him for just a moment before he really got to go back in, but Silas looks like he's going to be healing himself, popping the Nunu ult to delete the Renekton. And it looks like DGT were able... Things looked good for them in the fight, and then the middle of the fight looked like Plumbers were winning, and then DGT were able to pull things back. Ash almost had a great team fight there. She was in position and got a few seconds of just auto-attacking as she pleased, and then she got flashed on by Renekton. And all good things go bad when you get flashed on by Renekton, but her team was able to avenge her and take out the win and the dragon, putting them at sole points.
And that is a scary prospect, because one thing that has been certain all series long here, Justices, whichever team gets that soul wins the game. Of course, every other game prior to this has been much more snowbally. Don't get me wrong, about 6k, 5.5k goal differential is by no means nothing to sleep on at this point in the game, but in all previous 4 games by this point, we have seen a much more dominant gold lead coming out from whichever team is winning and would go on to win, so this truly is the coin flip of a game.
It sure is, and I'd like to just address something that chat brought up. Someone mentioned that the circle around Malzahar ult still does damage even when the Malzahar ult is cancelled, and that's true. And I just wanted to make sure that anyone who's watching is aware that the beam also does damage. So if you cancel Malzahar ult, you do take less damage, as you are only taking damage from the circle as opposed to the circle and the direct beam. So.
And another point brought up by the chat is that Malzahar is not fun to play against. Let me tell you, that is factually. Oh, never mind that fight.
Speaking of Malzahar ultimates, looks like that one's coming through. Maokai just held in the absolute zero for his whole charge. You know, you hate to see it, but he couldn't move at all. And then Nunu, Malzahar, and Lux are able to just bully the tree. They're committing a bit of deforestation in the blue side of their jungle.
I guess, yeah. We can call this the Amazon rainforest because every day we are losing multitudes of acres of farmland. But unknown, he is the next on the farming block, having to blow that ulti once again. But there's the flashbang gun. And
that snowball looks so weird whenever he stuns the Nunu and the snowball goes forward. It looks like it turns translucent. Anyways, maybe it's just a spectator bug. Might be. We do see an Executioner's picked up by the Caitlyn. Probably, you know, we have the Maokai, we have the Silas, we have the Volibear. There's a lot of healing on the side of DGT, so that Executioner's makes sense. Though, I think I'd like to see anti-heal on more than just Caitlyn. She's not going to be able to consistently apply it to a whole team. And if possible, Caitlyn really doesn't want to be attacking people like Volibear and Maokai. She wants to be attacking like Silas or Ashe, so...
Oh, yeah. Let's see if the root comes out. There is the Volibear.
Volibear's quite tanky and quite fast, so he's safe.
Yeah. A lot of action happening, but not a lot of deaths happening. That is very unfortunate here if you do want to have a little bit of fight, but speaks to a little bit more of a controlled game here. It is game number 5 in both these teams. Everything is on the line, so no one wanting to make that silly, stupid mistake.
Yep, easily the closest game we've had all series. It's 9-13 and 1 Dragon to 3. Typically, by this point in our previous matches, we've seen 26 kills and 2 Ocean Souls. But, you know, looking at the map right now, everyone's just sort of pushing waves and backing up, just establishing vision and really waiting. I think everyone's waiting for the next dragon to come in a minute and 40 seconds currently. Just mostly clearing waves and establishing vision, so looks like people are just going to wait it out and play around the next objective. We see the teleport is down for the Silas, up for everybody else.
And that is going to be definitely a big point here, since Baron is on the map here. It is going to be a huge point of contention. And then we do have this potentially last elemental dragon here coming up in about a little under minute 20. It is already soul point here for DGT, but the Plumbers Company, they can fire back. They can pick that up, especially since they do have that double TP advantage. They can force a maybe 1-3-1. That will really pressure it out. However, though, 1-3-1, especially when speaking in the context of non-turret, never mind that, there's a stun, there is a fight.
Looks like they're trying to pick off the jungler of the plumbing crew, and it looks, if that Nunu goes down, that dragon is going to the side of DGT, all things considered. Nunu's trying to charge up the absolute focus, but the absolute zero, but he's dead. The Malzahar going on to the Volibear, which it's effective as he was ulted by the Lux and the Malzahar at the same time. A lot of damage coming through, but that means that both junglers are dead. This dragon could be started in 25 seconds, but it would be a coin flip, as neither person would is alive. And we don't have anyone with Spellbook to play pretend.
Well, it isn't a completely fair coin flip here, as DGT do have the man advantage in terms of health bars here. They did come out on top in terms of tempo. In terms of health bars, it is going to give them prio over the dragon if they do so please. However, though,
let's just hope it doesn't
be going for it, it looks like, as it is started up by these 3 beefy hunks of men. If anybody out there loves a big beefy man, hey, we got 3 of them. But you remind me that this is the BDC play.
For the Baron itself, Nunu has W'd over to get there quickly as possible. It looks like they're going to be getting this one. They've been spotted out by the Ashe, but there's nothing they can really do. Set's coming in from the teleport. He can probably kill. The crystal arrow lands exactly on who it's supposed to. Picks off the poor Malzahar. A double ulted and flash teleported on. That feels really bad if you're Malz, but that was quite an important Baron taken off of their team, as that is a solo laner with teleport. Quite a good Baron pusher, but not anymore, as Malzahar is dead. But the other 4 members of the Plumbers have Baron left, and that means they will be able to survive at least for the next few days.
Exalted Pig is in danger here.
Exalted Pig might be proving me wrong, as he tries his best to survive, and he's able to get out just barely with the assistance of his Nunu, but, you know, DGT proving that they're not scared of Baron. They'll fight you no matter what big purple worm you've killed. Alaskan Bullworm Slayer or not, DGT is looking to square up with plumbers at the moment.
Yeah, and this is one of those times where I wish we had the other Joe, the Joe FX on here, so we could see the Baron power play. However, though, we do only have the 4 GB of RAM Joe on here. And this is probably a little bit of a negative Baron power play so far when you consider you lost that kill, when you lost that mid lane turret, and it is going to suck a little bit. However, though, you do still have plenty of Baron buff to work with here on the side of the Plumbers Company, and they can look to siege these turrets, but right as I say that, Caster Curse does kick in, and they just kind of chicken off that mid lane hour turret, and if you got Baron buff and you're chickening out from sieging outer turrets, I'm sorry, but that is a little bit of a worrying trend here, to put it in the words of professional casters.
And you're right about that one. And I do think that the Baron is helping them here, as if they didn't have the Baron... Oh, that is the Dominus activated for Sylas. I wonder if he was about to time out.
Maybe. Either way, though, that is one very thick Sylas. He is all thick and no dummy here on the Rift with his current scoreline. 17 Magi stacks, too. I'm going to take a quick peep at how much AP he has. He has 274 AP, which is quite an impressive amount when you consider he did get the Morellos as a second item here, which isn't a very high AP item. But once he gets a death cap here or a little bit more AP under the tank, then that is going to be ludicrous. And keep in mind, Sylas does have fairly decent base damages as he does rank up. And 274 AP is more than enough to really hurt a lot of the squishies here on the enemy team.
Yeah, I'd say if he lands the full combo on the Lux or the Caitlyn, he can immediately kill them. And if he lands his combo on Malzahar after Malzahar's shield is gone, he can pretty much nuke him as well. With the ultimate up, he could probably whittle down the Nunu or the Renekton as well. So I think Sylas is very dangerous right now. He's hit level 16, and with the buffs that came through for Sylas a few patches back, I don't remember how far ago or how long ago it was at this point, but Sylas is great for the ultimate. He has a ridiculously short
40 seconds. Of course, there is still the individual cooldown for enemy ultimate stolen, but this is a little bit of a pick-off. It is jungle combat coming out as two full tanks don't exactly damage each other. Who would have thought?
With the with this man's runes set up, he actually has a 19-second cooldown on his ultimate. That is disgusting. He will be able to ult so often. I think the individual ults, like the individual ult cooldowns, will all be triggered before his actual ult. So that's something about the Sylas to keep in mind. Is he'll be able to cycle through those ults.
Salted pig, you're behind enemy lines here, buddy.
Stunned, and dead. The best CC coming in after 4 other CCs. And that poor crocodile is getting turned into shoes.
Yep, and one thing I did want to bring up here, after you mentioned the 19-second Sylas ulti, I take a quick gander of the DGT ultis here, and you have to keep in mind, they do have that triple Cloud Dragon buff, never mind, okay. They do have the triple Cloud Dragon buff, and not a single member has a ultimate cooldown that is over 55 seconds. You have to keep in mind, they have insanely impactful ultimates here. You have Seth's Showstopper, you have the Volibear Stormbreaker, you have the Ashe Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you have the Ashe using heal because she's caught behind enemy lines. Let's see what happens here. There's a flash.
That's so funny. If you hover over Sylas using Nunu's ultimate, his ultimate has a... We do see a big team fight coming through. A lot of members rooted by the Maokai ultimate. Caught inside Sylas' absolute zero. Killed. The tower's been disabled by the Volibear. They're all just getting run down. The DGT is healing way too much. They're just too tanky. They're just rolling over. Ashe wasn't even with them at the end of that fight. She just let her big beefy boy battalion just sit on the entirety of Plumber's squad as they got run down in their own base. Or nearing their own base. It is an unfortunate situation. But what I was going to say beforehand is that Sylas, using Nunu's ultimate, has a 40-second cooldown on it, while Nunu has an 81-second cooldown on his own ult. That is really unfair.
Hey, you know, all is fair in Lemon War, and, well, the Risen Rampage pre-made semi-finals, that's definitely war. It's definitely love, because you love to be seeing Risen here on these Saturday nights, as this is going to be the last Nexus turret
Oh, God.
On down.
That Luxalt did a lot more damage than I expected it to do, and the Nexus goes down, giving the series over to DGT. They'll be facing off Rising Phoenix in our finals.
And once again, the risen prophecy of the higher seed team in playoffs always losing holds true. Once again here, as DGT able to claim this very hard-fought victory in this game number 5. But yeah, with that being said, though, it looks like that's the end of our series. Any words you want to give, Justice, before we send it off for the night?
I would say we had really good showings from both of these teams, and overall it was a pretty great 5-game series. You always like to see it go to 5 games, very competitive. And don't pick Graves.
Don't pick Graves is the moral of this series. However, though, for everyone out there who does love Risen, I mean, who isn't a Risen simp? If you aren't a Risen simp, I'm sorry, but we can't interact. However, though, tomorrow, though, Risen does have 2 series going on at 2 p.m. EST. We will be having the first one coming on, and then, of course, the 7:45 p.m. EST. We will be having Risen Champs coming on. It will be the first week of playoffs, too, for Risen Champs, so do tune in, because, I mean, Risen Champs has been very exciting so far this year, and next week isn't... I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Technically next week, but tomorrow's going to be no different. However, though, this is me, Justice, and, of course, the hot dog man himself, Rando Joe, signing off for this week. We'll be seeing you once again next week here for the Premade Rampage Finals. It will be Don't Go Top versus Rising Phoenix, competing for the big shmoney.